It's a cloudy but warm day at Fuji Speedway for the second race at round 4 of the Blancpain GT World Challenge Asia. It's always fantastic if you can come here and see Mount Fuji. It's slightly obscured today, as you can see there, but yesterday it did come out in all its glory, albeit for a fleeting glance. In the space, oh, there it is, absolute beauty. In the space of our second round, in just 2 weeks in Japan, last time out we were at Suzuka and the racing was truly fantastic and ultra competitive. Let's take a look back at the action from round number 3.
All tidy from Martin Rump in pole position. Tanart Sathienthirakul on the outside of the front row. Look to challenge. Darrell Young always looked to challenge. Look for the green flashes on his Mercedes. No chance to get into second place. A chance to go into the lead, but you're on the outside line. You're always going to run out. And in fact, Sathienthirakul did very well indeed to keep it within the confines of the circuit. The momentum went. The ARN Porsche starting to make moves, moving up the order, but had a lot of company. The company was in front of him this time. It was the leading car in the AM class, Ben Porter, really flying. And then, unfortunately for Jeffrey Lee, the grass was wet, didn't want to be on it in the first place, lost a lot of time in his Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes. The race came to the 911 crew when the number 12 Audi was had already made a pit stop, but not one for a normal pit stop because it had a puncture, put it out of the top 10. Had to fight its way back. This was a battle that just kept on giving. It was the class-leading battle in GT4. First of all, first part of the race, it was a nice, comfortable start for Takayuki Kinoshita, but the second half of the race, as Kinoshita watched on, it was very tough indeed. Too tough as Jean-Marc Merlin hit Tsunaka Jukuchu. The BMW spun around, damage to both cars, not immediately apparent, but where the contact of Mercedes on BMW occurred, so the puncture occurred as well. You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to work out why. Bodywork damage, tyre being rubbed by bodywork on the Singer Plan B Racing Audi. Those are nobody though could catch Philipp Hamprecht. A second win this season for the 911 Porsche in the background, second and third. Look how close it is. Brilliant getaway by Alessio Picariello in the 88 Mercedes, pushed very hard by Marco Holzer. Look for him trying to make a move in the 918 Porsche from Panther AS Motorsport into the first corner. He knew he was on the outside line, and then there was a squeeze over 4th or 5th place, 2 cars going off, and then there's a little bit of a push there. Chris van der Drift rubbing the tail of the Lamborghini at a point where it was very easy to go for a spin. Schandorf held on, but suddenly had Melvin Moe all over his tail. 911, yesterday's winner, handed over to Tanart Sathienthirakul. Philipp Hamprecht, first of the front runners to make a pit stop. And the car that didn't get as far as a pit stop was the 60 Porsche, spun around there, given a clip, unfortunately, by the car that finished third yesterday, and that was Yuta Kamamura. Car he shares with Hiroaki Nagai. They would get a penalty for that as well. Jeffrey Lee having to hang on at the front of the field, being pushed very hard and passed by the Hub Auto Corsa Ferrari, but of course, as you can see, didn't manage to turn into the corner, gained an advantage by running off the track, had to hand it back, but at this point didn't have enough momentum. The 2 Porsches that were 3rd and 4th said thank you very much, accelerated it, passed it on the start-finish straight, and that there, Fujikon Fuvasak in the 918 Porsche to push very, very hard indeed, but Jeffrey Lee defended the line just when it looked as though the door might be left open. He came across absolutely legitimate to do just that, with Alessio Picariello super nervous in the pit lane, had no reason to stay nervous for any longer because the checkered flag was being waved and it came down. They won this duo in the opening race of the season and they won all over again, and look at the joy in Parc Fermé.
Well, that was 2 weeks ago. 6 cars covered by 2 seconds at the end. Here at Fuji Speedway, however, there is culture wherever you look. We've had local drummers, the carving of tuna, just setting up the scene. And we chose the occasion just ahead of the race to catch up with our CEO and founder, Stefan Rettel, to hear his thoughts on the first Blancpain GT World Challenge.
Stefan, the GT World Challenge always looked like a good idea. We're halfway through the season now. How do you feel about it?
We're very pleased. You know, it's been an integration between the various series we have around the world, the various GT3 series. We were known in America as the World Challenge. We were known in Europe and Asia as Blancpain GT, so we merged both to get the Blancpain GT World Challenge. and it's going very well. All platforms are successful, and we're especially pleased by the success in Asia.
When you look at the starting grid this weekend, you must be delighted to see that 2/3 of the drivers represent Asian nations.
Yeah, that was the new challenge, if I could say, for this season, because on some of the races I visited last year, there were like a podium with 6 European drivers, and I was like, I'm in Asia, it's an Asian series, so why are there 6 European drivers? So we imposed to have 1 Asian driver per car, passport, nationality, and that has worked fantastically. And I think that now we really have an Asian championship.
To have an Asian series that includes races at Suzuka and the Fuji Speedway must be quite special.
They are 2 of the best circuits in the world, undoubtedly, and really we have a calendar that visit the best circuits in Asia, both here in China, in Thailand, in Malaysia, and in Korea now, 5 countries, and I think it's a very good selection.
A very special and unusual feature this time around is an AMG passenger competition. It's for a hot lap, and we had huge number of entries through the social media, and the final 2 had to sort it out in rock, paper, scissors. It was fiercely intense, and the battle raged right until the conclusion, where Shunichi Nakano got the top prize to go and ride around in the front seat of the AMG Mercedes, the fantastic GT63S Mercedes supply, both the medical and the safety cars for our series. But in the spirit of competition, the guy who finished second, Shunpai Suzuki, got to ride around in the back seat to get to see Fuji Speedway as they've never seen it before. They were pushed very, very hard, and they will absolutely love it. So thank you very much to AMG for organising that competition. It was taken up with considerable aplomb. But yesterday's opening race here, held in the afternoon. We're now going to show you the highlights. We had 4 different manufacturers filling the top 4 places. Absolutely fantastic racing. Let's take a look. Really clean start, brilliant getaway by Alex Au, trying to get that white Lamborghini up a place or 2, but from pole position being challenged. Well, the Ferrari had a little look, but Marcus Seefried's tucking in behind. He's going to have to go the long way around Roloff Bruins if he wants the lead, but up. Oh, in too deep to the corner. Satya Thirical's made a mistake, and suddenly Roloff Bruins into the lead of the race. Alex Au, promising start, but he went too deep. I knew some cars were going to do so. Roloff Bruins into the lead of the race. Poleman, Satya Thirical back and up from 7th. A brilliant start from Wyron Tan. Up into 4th, off the circuit at turn 3. Lots of argy-bargy, but the first 2 are managing to get away. Still can't see Mount Fuji. We'll come to that later. Great interviews down on the grid by Steve Dawson. Really building up the pressure and the feeling before the race. Will it rain for those drivers starting further down the order? We will see, but very good approach at turn 1 by Roloff Bruins. It looks so he tucked in behind Sathian Thirical, but the Porsche driver went in too deep, went off the circuit rejoin, and by the time he did so, cutting up into the inside line, Bruins took the lead. Looking in behind as the Ferrari holds down 3rd place. Marcus Seefried, such an experienced international GT racer, really enjoying his time here at Fuji Speedway. But the fast 2, the 2 cars that were on the front row, albeit in reverse order. Bruins in the lead of the race. Tanat Satya Thirical doing his best to hang on, and in fact trying to stay on was the race leading Roloff Bruins. Steve, great interviews down on the grid. Really got the atmosphere down there, those drums going. It must have really built up there.
It's super down there. Let me just report that there are spots and speckles of rain. I don't anticipate that it's really going to get much worse than that. So I think some of the torrential rain, perhaps, that some of the mid-runners are hoping for probably won't happen. But some rain.
A broken cloud up above the circuit, but what we saw, a far better entry to the start-finish straight from the pole starter, and Satya Thirical having a little look at Bruins. He got the toe. Some place changes further back. Looks like Wyan Chen is trying to regain position, having started 4th and got muscled out at turn 3 on the opening lap. But there was a gap of best part of 0.6 of a second between the 2 front row starters. But the slower driver in qualifying, Bruins, is in front. He had some faster laps, but don't forget he, like many drivers, went off the circuit several times beyond the white lines. And this could be a feature in this race. But at the end of the opening lap, 0.322 of a second. It's come down by 100th around the middle stage of this lap.
Yeah, you can see it's going to be a good tussle. They're nice and close, these two. The one behind always looking for the slingshot from the one in front. That's how it could be for some time here.
Yes, I think the qualifying advantage for Sathian Thirikul in the Absolute Racing Porsche is such he's just got to find his moment. He's got the speed in the car, he's got the speed himself. The tyre is absolutely flying this year, leading the championship with his teammate Philippe Hamprecht. But Roloff Bruins has got better and better over the last 12 months in particular. Racing experience dates back to his time racing in Europe long ago. But this season he's really matured with the Solite Indigo Racing Mercedes, because he's not flustered. There used to be moments when his armour would crack in recent years, but now he's capable of running right on the pace. Oh dear, Jeffrey Lee's had a spin along with the Antstone Racing Mercedes. So two cars that need to pick their way up the order. You put him off by interviewing him down on the grid.
My apologies.
Yeah, he's going to be very, very cross. He'll send you the bill for that. But anyhow, the fact we've had one bit of contact around the first two laps is remarkable, with 31 cars. Just repeat that. That's the biggest field of the year. But right now, first and second, it was 0.322 of a second. It's come down to 0.279 in the slipstream. Not quite close enough to make a move, but he's going to try anyhow. Just do anything he can to unsettle Bruins. In behind, Marco Seefried is running at a marginally slower pace. He lost a quarter of a second. It really is all eyes on this lead battle. As you can see, it swings around we're dealing in the thousandths of a second. But the big question at this point is, what are they doing to their tyres? Because they're both clearly really, really on it.
The other aspect to consider is, if we're talking about thousandths of a second, but that's not easy to say, is it? There'll be a 5-second penalty. A bit of steam there, a bit of smoke.
Well, that's the front bodywork rubbing, oh dear, front left corner of number 17. So you'd actually feel perhaps that was the assault weapon that hit the side of Jeffrey Lee's Mercedes, because that would indicate how they came together down at turn 4. And into the pits comes car number 90. That Porsche obviously planned to be out on the track a little bit longer, but well, you can see there's been rear contact. Someone's clipped his wing. Actually, it looks as though the panel has simply come loose. Was the front bodywork? No, yeah, the front bodywork looks a little loose too. So maybe for Li Chao in 910. Again, it just looks like the lid has come up at the rear. Anyhow, so there's been contact around about sort of 15th, 16th position. I tried that one. Don't do that at home. For 9:18, what a nightmare for Vutikorn-Intra Fuvasak. Oh dear, suddenly it's all going terribly wrong. Shards of damage on the track. The McLaren will gain a couple of positions. What is going on down in the middle order? In fact, he was higher up, 8th at the start of that. Vutikorn-Intra Fuvasak. Was that due to...
I can't
There's
believe
got
he's
to be
still
contact
competing.
that's forced that up.
He's
But
got vision, I suppose, just under that bonnet. He can see what he's doing, otherwise he wouldn't be driving so quickly.
yeah, it's got a phenomenal memory, but further contact... Well, I think the bonnet came back, whether from contact or not, but then when he spun, half spun, that's when the front wing is coming up. So the pit window isn't open yet, but those coming in are losing an awful lot of time. Cars 11 and 199 under investigation. Incident at T10 during the formation lap. Well, T10 is the point at which we saw 199 having had a spin. And Kyo Chang is continuing on his way.
At least that car's getting a bit of cooling from the engine.
Well, don't forget, this is a car that's very well placed in the championship, so it's really unfortunate for Intra Fuvasak. Came here to Fuji Speedway, 3rd in the championship. Okay, damage at the front. They can put the bonnet back down, but not quite into the shape that it normally would be applied, because surely that front bodywork is twisted. So really, really unfortunate for the Panther AAS Motorsport crew. They've had a really strong season. And don't forget, they took a win in the second of the 2 races at Thailand. That's why they're so well placed. Up front, though, Roloff Bruins still in front, but the gap's come down at the start of that point. 1:17 of a second.
I got interrupted because we had that little incident earlier on, but the 5-second penalty will be given to the Absolute Racing team. So Tanat Sathian Thirikul will suffer a 5-second delay when they make that changeover, and Philippe Hamprecht steps into the car. So as we speak about tenths and even thousandths of a second between the top two, we better consider that later.
Collision at turn 10. Car 1-1 drive-through penalty causing a collision at turn 10.
OK, that answers some questions, because as I saw the cars coming around the final corners to start the race, I thought I spotted bodywork damage at the front end of the GTO Racing. It's the blue Mercedes. YN Chen last time around, still in 5th, but catching up with the car in front, gained half a second. Useful laps. Bit of debris being collected by the field there. The McLaren hit it first. In fact, the McLaren was the first car to get down among that debris with the collision from the 918. Porsche had its bonnet up. Couldn't see where it was going. Sort of Keystone Cops in the early stage, but not for Rolf Bruins. He was wise at the first corner with Tanat Sathi and Thiracal. Started from pole, was ahead going to the corner, but just didn't get the braking done. And so Bruins with the calm head, he's now 1.1 seconds clear. He's just set his fastest lap of the race, while the pace of Sathi and Thiracal is dropping away, and Marco Seefried in the Ferrari is starting to catch up. So it's Bruins from Sathi and Thiracal, Mercedes from Porsche, the Ferrari in next, and then an Audi, 2 Audis in fact, Tan and Chen, 4th and 5th. There goes our race leader. How good was the last lap? Slightly slower than the previous one, but another 1/10 of a second gain. How amusing. 88 and 17 are together on the track. They're behind the car guy racing Ferrari. This is a team that has its base just outside the circuit boundary. Started down at the tail of the class, but
19th currently.
19th. Those in behind quicker, but they're on its tail. Got to find a way by. Jeffrey Lee taking a bit of a wide line. And for the second time in the race, this is not going to look good with the stewards. The 17 Mercedes has clonked the 88 car into a spin, and you really, really have to feel Jeffrey Lee, Alessio Picariello, and others. Well, in fact, that's another garage, that's Craft Bamboo Garage, looking at the screens and shaking their heads. But yellow flag at turn 15. Well, we can see why. That's the penultimate corner on the track. There's debris on the circuit for one of the. That was the 199 car that was spun on its parade lap. It's now having to go on the grass in avoidance of the spun Anston Racing car. So for Jouvin, there's red dots on the flanks of his Anston Racing Mercedes, and clearly a bit of a red mist inside his helmet. Let's take a look. He's dived up the inside. There is an inside, but there is a thing called physics. And there's well,
Car 1-7 drive-through penalty causing a collision, turn 10.
Right now, they're our first 4, all in the lead shot. 3.5 seconds cover them. And the 5th place Audi will be at the back of that pack any moment soon as well, because, OK, they've come up to number 11. That, of course, served a drive-through penalty. Who is leading in GT4? I'll tell you what, it's not a big surprise. It's Takayuki Kinoshita in the lead BMW from BMW Team Studi. He's got a decent advantage over Jean-Marc Merlin, who all weekend has been clearly the driver most likely to take the baton to him in that Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes.
It's around 6.5 seconds, the gap between the two of them, and there is another driver in between them, so Kinoshita looks fairly safe for now.
In the AM class, it's Andrew McPherson leading the way, 14th overall. And he's nearly 5 seconds clear. And the car chasing is number 60. And it's Kei Nakanishi, LM Corsa Porsche. That was given a bit of a knock off the circuit at Suzuka, having a better run this time around.
Looks mean, doesn't it, with those headlight designs there?
Yes, a lovely little tweak. I've got Nashers. Here's the second car in class. LM Corsa joined the championship with Suzuka. Had a good run here. In fact, a very good run. The gap was really tumbled down in the last lap. It went from 5 and a bit seconds to 2 seconds. So drive-through penalty, that means drive-through, don't drive and stop. I think there's general confusion going on at Anston Racing. Now they go.
Maybe just wanted to chat.
We have a change for the lead. Suddenly Tanat Sathi and Thiracal has overtaken while we're looking in the pit lane. Oh, typical, isn't it? It's just bad luck. So our first 3 are even closer, but we have a change in order. Rolf Bruins, maybe he took too much out of his tyres, maybe a GT4 runner was in his way, but the pole man still probably brewing that over-ambitious entrance into turn 1 on the opening lap. Now in the lead of the race, and suddenly Rolf Bruins is being challenged by a different car. And it's not protecting the lead, it's not defending the lead, it is Marco Seefried in the Ferrari getting close on the tail of Rolf Bruins. So the first of the pit stoppers going back out onto the circuit. Christina Nielsen being a bit frustrated by the pace of the Asavahame Lamborghini, but there's a maximum pace in the pit lane. 9:12. Most brilliant run for Wanbo, but let's see what it can do when it goes back out. This is the second of the 2 Absolute Racing Porsches, and now be in the hands of Liu Yihong Li. Normally Wanbo is the better of that duo in terms of pace, but it does vary from circuit to circuit. Ever brighter conditions out on track. Right, the second of the runners enjoying a run in the Success Racing Lamborghini, started by Tomotsu Kondo. Now it's Motoharu Sato out in number 390. Car 27, the pit stop has been done. The pit window's still open for another 4 minutes. And we'll see where that slots in. What's going on? Is that Happiness down in the pit lane? That's Saturn Thiracal out of the car. So he's suffering a little bit there, but shows how much effort he put in. And don't forget, he didn't just hunt, he did the passing manoeuvre as well. Yeah, it's good. Okay. Yet more debris on the start-finish straight, not in a position where any marshal can recover it. And the only problem is, if that's been there for a while, is that the new drivers don't know about it, and those who are still to make their pit stops, they're aware and they duck out of the way. So 9-11 back out. Those 5 extra seconds will have cost it track position. It's come out behind number 12, and that's the car now in the hands of Martin Rump. But let's see what Philip Pamprek can do. Seemingly coming now, finally in the pits for the right time. The first planned visit after 3 other ones for the Anstone Racing Mercedes on a day they will very much want to consign to their memory, or not to their memory, the way it's been. Incident between car 60 and 128, no further action. That was down at turn 7. Good to hear no further penalties for Tana Motorsport Lamborghini. That's number 128. And the LM Corsa Porsche, we saw the bit of bodywork damage. Now Yasemin Jafar trying to pick up the pace. He's down in 13th position at the moment, but still waiting for a few pit visits. Well, we saw Tanart Sathyanthirikul get out of the car. Great run to get back into the lead. Let's go down and hear his thoughts after an interesting first stint.
Yeah, first of all, Bruce, Tanat has injured himself, I think, as he came out of the car. Tanat, what happened?
I think the car just dropped on my foot. It's my fault for putting my feet underneath the car.
Tell me about the start.
Well, I tried to brake a bit late because he was on the outside, but apparently I was a bit too late for the grip I have, so I went off. But then I tried to fight back a little bit, but then I was settled for second for a while. And then I think he has some kind of car problem or something. So I managed to pass him back, and now I hand it to Philip, and then we see.
Keep applying that ice, get well soon.
Yeah, I hope it's okay. No, but it's okay, no problem.
Here is the race leader, Manuel Metzger, again, just as other cars are coming out of the pits. That was lucky for him because it means the second place car of Yuya Sakamoto, the Hub Auto Corsa, probably had to take a longer line into the first turn, has now got past the X-Works Audi, and the driver in behind giving chase is Martin Rump. He's just 0.7 of a second down on the second place Ferrari. Then Philip Pamprek is 4 seconds further back in the 911 Porsche. Here's our Pro-Am class leader, ARN Racing. Going very well indeed. Yuta Kamimura. A huge number of Japanese racers enjoying their home event, one of their 2 home events. 2 weeks ago was Suzuka, now Fuji Speedway. Next time out will be in Korea. We go to the track that was built specifically to hold the Korean Grand Prix at Yong'an. Would hardly be more different from a circuit built on the side of a volcano. Plenty of gradient change, which is what I always love in a race circuit. And Fuji, as you can see, really wide in parts. It does allow drivers to at least think they've got a shot at overtaking. Kamimura has just, as we've watched him, put in the fastest middle sector of anybody. So the ARN Racing Porsche in a very, very sweet spot of its performance curve right now. And I think this could entertain us the next few laps. Yasemin Jafar in 888, dukes it out with 99, Darrell O'Young. And you can see in that battle how they take totally different lines. Jasmine's experimenting one way, then the other, but O'Young is in front now. Will he stay? Oh, a big swerve to dive around the outside. There's not going to be space, or is there? In towards the chicane. Late in, wide out, early in, tight out. But I'd say that's settled at 3 for one, 3 for the other. It's coming right down. Our lead battle, Metzger and Rump, we can see them very close together. The Mercedes still ahead of the Audi. Yuya Sakamoto hanging on. He's 1.5 seconds further back. A little bit of traffic could close right in all over again. It must be said, this Indigo Racing Mercedes has been right at the front of almost every race, as has the number 12 Audi. But the number 12 Audi seems to be a magnet for incidents and problems. And of course, pushing all of them, just showing them what could have been if it hadn't lost a lap with the 2 spins. Coming up the order, how high is he now? Picariello in the 88 Craft Bamboo car up to 16th place. His next target is way up the track, 15 seconds up the track from him. Could still keep going. Got to get into the top 10 to pick up a point. That is his only target at this point in the race. But under quarter of an hour to go, you say that's quite a steep one. Joe Chi on his championship debut, he's picked up the car that was given a clonk on the formation lap. And if you take a look, a rear shot, still dragging some bodywork.
possibly a long-term injury. Oh yeah, it's a little bit flapping. I think that's all right. It's not near the wheel arch, and the fact the contact was well, even before the start of the race, and it's still there now with only 12 minutes remaining. Hopefully that should stay. Ben Porter, however, is leading the AM class ahead of Takeshi Kimura. Well, that gap was down to two and a bit seconds, and just checking what it is this time around, it stays at 2 and a bit, maybe a tenth of a second loss. There's the bright yellowy green Ferrari, playing catch up. 8 3/4 minutes remaining in this race. Will it be a class win in the AM class for Ben Porter and Andrew McPherson? Certainly McPherson, the pit lane will be hoping so, but Takeshi Kimura going for it. There they are, that's the gap. Oh, it's going to be very tense down in the garage at AMAC Motorsport, and also for Car Guy Racing, and they've got a lot of support. They've got a lot of mechanics here because their base is just outside the circuit fence. But for Ben Porter, who had such a good run in one of the 2 races in Suzuka, he's going to be crossing everything. But look, I mean, you don't have to use a stopwatch. That Ferrari is a-coming.
Look at all of that rubber debris on the track. Off the driver's line there, although as you can see, 13 and 1 or 2 others will just drift onto it if needs must.
Well, needs must if you have a GT4 car that's running on the cleanish part. But I tell you what, that looks like the level of rubber you get after, you know, late into a 6-hour race in the World Endurance Championship. No one, though, is on the tail of the 97 Solite Indigo Racing Mercedes. Yes, Martin Rump is in attendance, but not close enough. Will it be win number 2 for the 2019 campaign? The driver who will be celebrated the most in the pit lane is Roelof Bruins, if it can be pulled off. It's up to his teammate, Manuel Metzger, back for a second crack this year in the 97 Mercedes. He's got to complete the task. He's right on the tail of some back runners. In fact, he didn't quite read the GT4 class leader, went out on the grass on the exit of turn 14, now back on terra firma, back on the black stuff, accelerating over the start-finish line. But let's have a look. The checkered flag, is it going to be waved for him or one more lap? One suggests the flag is out. He should have that waved in his face. Checkered flag. Oh, he timed that very, very well indeed. Just past an hour, he takes victory. Manuel Metzger wins in conjunction with Roelof Bruins. The margin was small, half a second, as 97, the race winner, enters the pit lane and progresses towards Parc Fermé, with Manuel Metzger very much savouring the atmosphere. He's enjoyed his visit to Thailand for round number 2. He's now very much enjoying his visit here for round number 4 to the Fuji Speedway. Very happy indeed, and that is very, very useful indeed for the points situation at the top of the table, because Roelof Bruins came here on 71 points, fully 17 points down on Tanart Sathi Thirikul.
Gentlemen, congratulations. First of all, tell me how that last session went. You must be delighted.
Yeah, but it was tough, man. Martin was pushing like hell. I could see him behind. And yeah, I just did the same. I tried to stay in front. The Audi's very good on the straight line and in braking. There he closed in, but in the corners I could pull a gap again. And luckily he didn't come too close for some slipstreaming. So yeah, it was tough.
I'm speechless. I mean, he did a fantastic job keeping that car in first position and bringing it back. I mean, the championship I can't even think about, because we're taking it round by round. So this is one. Up to the next one.
Okay, let's take a look at the running order at the end. Roelof Bruins and Manuel Metzger, as we said, top for Solite Indigo Racing. Wear on Tan, good starting stint, but Martin Rump, brilliant second stint to take the Absolute Racing Audi into second place. Marco Seefried, welcome to the championship. And Yuya Sakamoto, what a fabulous run from him. 1.4 seconds from first through to third. Manuel Metzger and Roelof Bruins on the second step in the red and white overalls. Martin Rump and Wear on Tan. And on the right-hand side, really great result there for Hub Auto Corsa. Yuya Sakamoto and his new teammate this weekend, Marco Seefried. We had 4 classes of racing, and the biggest gap between first and second was 1.828 seconds. It was close, it was exciting, it was competitive. Just a short while ago, we assembled all the drivers at the front of the grid for a group photo. And as you can see, the flags are blowing, the wind is picking up. Will that bring rain through the course of the action? And there is the Sultana, Queen of Johor, greeting a driver who's racing with us on Jeffrey Ibrahim in the middle, but it's Yasmin Yafar Court shaking her hands. Now for the drivers, there is the group photo, looking resplendent in their racewear. Thumbs up, looking forward, all 31 crews, the biggest field of the year. Let's go down now to the grid, because Steve Dawson is at the sharp end looking for interviews.
Alessio Picariello is in pole position. Alessio, not so good yesterday. He could only manage 16th on the front row here, but is a win realistic?
Well, yesterday was kind of fun, I have to say. With the bad luck we had, we knew anyway it would be tough with the 15-second success penalty we had. But at the end of the day, it was more of a test for us. It went well. I was with the leader, and I didn't want to pass to make troubles or whatever. So, yeah, it was a good test for today. A win, is it realistic? I don't know. In Suzuka, I would have said no, but we did it. So I will say, yeah, we go for it today, and we do our best, and we will see.
You're a good driver. You've got a good driver alongside you. Should be a good start.
It's going to be tough. It's a long run here, so the start is key. But, yeah, I'm pretty confident.
Thanks very much. And the driver that Steve referred to, that driver alongside is Jasm Jafar, who'll be starting the 888 Racing Mercedes alongside. But we're going to go back to the second row to car number 17, the Anstone Racing Mercedes. This was a car that had multiple incidents through the course of yesterday's race and ended up pretty much nowhere. We're going to hope to catch words with Naoki Yokomizo because it could be a very, very different race. But it must be said, it's looking good for Mercedes, filling the top 4 positions. The best of the rest will be Martin Rump on row number 3, 5th on the grid in his Audi. So just to reiterate, Alessio Picariello on pole position, Yazam and Jafar alongside. Naoki Yokomizo, though, in the blue Mercedes with the yellow, orange and red splodges all over, will be trying to put his car in the highlights, but for all the right reasons. But Steve is down there, he's done his work. Let's hear what Naoki Yokomizo has to say.
Naoki, the car took a bit of a battering yesterday. How is it today?
Yeah, so today we have a very good chance to get podium. And the car is very good so far, so I'm looking forward to the race. Yeah.
Are you competing for first place today?
Sure. Yes. Push.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, very, very focused, Naoki Yokomizo there. Starting third for Anstone Racing. It will be their top result of the season by some margin if he can come through and take that position. But don't forget, it's an hour of racing. Driver changes between 25 and 35 minutes into this 1 hour competition. Here's a car, the outside of the second row, Melvin Moe. He's had some increasingly quick runs for Craft Bamboo Racing, so look out for the number 55 Mercedes through the course of this race. Now, if you finish in the top 3 positions, you get success penalty. When you come to your mandatory pit stop mid-race, which should take a minimum of 90 seconds, the winners from yesterday will have to add 15 seconds at a standstill. 10 seconds for the team that finished second and the team finished third. So let's just reiterate, 15 seconds extra for the yesterday's race winners, which were Solar Indigo Racing. That will hamper their chances. 10 seconds extra for the number 12 Audi crew. That's starting 5th on the grid today. And the Hub Auto Corsa Ferrari, that's starting somewhat further back in 12th position. That'll be an extra 5 seconds. So that will really compromise their chances. But it's swings and roundabouts. And that certainly adds to the competition here in Blancpain GT World Challenge Asia. New name for 2019. The first 2 seasons were simply Blancpain GT Asia, but this is part of a competition that runs all around the world, combined with the Blancpain GT Challenge World Challenge America, Blancpain GT World Challenge Europe, and this one. At the end, the manufacturers have nominated 4 drivers in each of these 3 championships, and their points will be accrued, added up, totted up, and then we'll find out which manufacturer will take the inaugural Blancpain GT World Challenge title. But now we're starting to see the cars pretty much as they should be seen, with few people around them. The last supporters just have left the grid and the teammates will pull away. But there is Manuel Metzger standing alongside Heat. That's one of the mechanics, sorry. Of course, that car was yesterday's race-winning car. Manuel kick off in that. That's 7th on the grid. So the grid's shuffled. Of course, the drivers who start the race were the ones who worked out the qualifying times for these cars. And that's the opposite way round to yesterday. But right now it's looking good. The flags have been fluttering up and down the start-finish straight, but it's a warm rather than baking hot day. But right now it looks like it could be dry right through to the end of the hour of racing. Waiting for the Mercedes AMG pace car to take them around, the AMG GT63S. As quick as the cars behind, perhaps, but it's going to lead them round for that one rolling lap, ready for the rolling start. 31 cars, just worth reiterating, the biggest field of the year thus far. This is round 4 of 6 of the Blancpain GT World Challenge Asia. all looks under control up on the starting gantry, waiting for the light to go to green, and the car's just moving away at 5 minutes past 1 local time here at Fuji Speedway. Spot on. It looks like everybody should be able to pull away. One more chance to look at the track. When they first went out on the track on Friday, there were wet conditions and it's constantly changed, but the good thing is it's dry. Yes, they've had little specks of rain during the course of the race, but it came to nothing whatsoever. For all these drivers, they've got plenty of track time under their belts. 31 cars, 24 in the GT3 class and 7 in the GT4 class behind, and that was a fierce competition yesterday, and of course in that class too, the 15 seconds extra for yesterday's class winners, 10 for second and 5 seconds extra for the team that finished third. That will respectively affect the 77 Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes, the second car in class BMW Team Studi, that car, the 81 BMW, has been super fast all season, and the number 111 Team iRace.win Mercedes. So the grid is sorted, 31 cars spread around the track. We need them to bunch a bit closer as they go around behind the Mercedes pace car. They will do so. That's only as they come down towards the approach to the chicane. They've been through the hairpin under the circuit cafeteria. Brilliant circuit to attend because you've got some fantastic vantage points. But track conditions are dry. Steve Dawson has legged it quickly from the pit lane. Are there flecks of rain today, or is it all dry?
No rain at all, and we've got a very high cloud base. There's a lot of cloud cover, but I don't think there's any threat of rain. The one thing we do have today, which we certainly didn't get yesterday, was the odd gust of very strong wind. It's not consistent by any means, but, you know, these are fairly high-top cars, and there could be some effect on that.
Yeah, there could, and it certainly, well, we spotted it with the flag really billowing on the grid, but it offers the drivers another excuse to throw into the equation should something go terribly wrong.
We all want that.
Well, some people crave that. Now, the McLaren, just going through the shop, that had a really, really good run. Best finish of the season for them yesterday. The only McLaren in the field, finished 7th overall. Look to see if they can do that all over again today. Starting a little further down the order today, but just great to have the variety through this field. So, through the final corner, onto the start-finish straight. That is the back of the GT3 pack. Just looking for the first car coming around in GT4 is the BMW in their shot. We need the other cars in that group to close right in. They're going to be way behind when it comes to the start of the race. It's a rolling start, but it's all eyes on the starting gantry. They should just be able to get onto the back of the field. On pole position, Alessio Picariello, the Craft Bamboo Racing number 88 Mercedes. Alongside it's 3 8s rather than 2. It's the 888 Racing Mercedes with Yaziman Jafar, who was set yesterday's fastest lap. This is the chance for the Malaysian to see if he can be quicker than Picariello, the Belgian, in the red, white and blue Mercedes. A very long hold. It's confusing them. Of course, the starter can choose when he flicks the lights from red to green. Power down. Martin Rump pulls out in the Audi, trying to see if he can gain a position from row number 3. It looks as though Picariello's done just enough. The long way round the outside is a dangerous place to go for Jafar. He's got to consider it. Given a tap up the back by the car that hit pretty much everything yesterday, the Anstone Racing Mercedes. Yokomizo on board there, flips him sideways. Very good news from Picariello. Bad news because Jafar has been knocked from second back to third. Behind, very, very tidy indeed. But first 3-4 places filled by Mercedes. Picariello will come and rejoin the circuit, and the rest behind. Little bits of bodywork damage. Couldn't see what that was, but I think it was something integral. We'll find out later. So for Picariello, it all looked good. He had that little advantage, but then he ran very deep, Steve, there into turn 3. Just see how desperate they all are to be at the front.
Must have been 50 to 60% of the runners going off track there at that corner. Chaos for a while, but no serious damage done, I think, apart from the odd little bit of carbon fibre that found its way to the track.
Yeah, well, in time we'll get to look at all the cars. Now Jafar will be really, really furious because that was an assault down at turn 1. Yokomitsu had his intent, giving almost one-word answers. He was focused when he spoke to him on the grid. He's put the Anstone Racing Mercedes into second place. This is very good news for Picariello, because I think if anybody could challenge him in the battle for supremacy, it would be Yaziman Jafar. We saw him down on the grid. We saw him with the Sultana of Johor. Great to have Her Royal Highness here, but Jafar is so focused, and this isn't part of his plan.
Yeah, I was hoping to get a word with Jasman. I think starting on the front row is a great opportunity for him to show what he's worth in this competition, because he's a super driver. But yeah, he's lost that early advantage, hasn't he?
Yeah, and in fact, coming out of the final corner, he hasn't managed to get into the toe of Yokomitsu's Mercedes. Now he's just starting to pick it up. But all along, Picariello, he'll be about a second clear. He is eking his way clear at the front of the field. The gap almost precisely 1 second at the end of the opening lap. Melvin Moe driving well, another Malaysian driver, good day for them, stays in 4th place. Martin Rump in 5th, best of the rest. And the ARN Racing Porsche, the red one, is having a really fierce little ding-dong down there fighting with Alexander Imperatori. Imperatori, the Swiss racer in the grey, white and red Porsche. He's on the outside. In fact, he's almost on the track. That's quite a good thing, isn't it?
Good for Mercedes, isn't it? Top 4 places all locked off for now. They're going well.
Yeah, a car I haven't really mentioned, just ahead of this little Porsche battle is the car in 6th, making 5th and 6th for Audi. It's Frankie Chen Kong Fu. So the 2 absolute racing Audis, the blue one is in 6th and the grey one is in 5th. So unfortunately, you don't want to come in at the pits at that point in the race. That is the championship leading car. So Hamprek clearly picked up some damage on the course that opening lap, and quite possibly a puncture. So yesterday, championship challenging car number 912 went backwards, 918 even more so, with that bonnet flapping against the windscreen. So that really threw the advantage into the hands of the 911 car that came home 4th yesterday, but today, to get a result, having made an extra pit stop early on, pretty much out of the question. Everyone else, move up.
Yeah, that 918 car driven by Imperatori is in 8th place at the moment, about almost 6 seconds off the pace for now.
Yeah, Imperatori's pace should be quicker than that, but unfortunately for him, he's behind Yuta Kamimura. No problem at all for Kamimura doing what he needs to do. But frustration at this early stage. If you've got someone you think is slower than you in front of you, as we can see, Imperatori, now this is his chance. Get under the rear wing of that ARN Racing Porsche and see where it takes you. Where it takes you is to turn 1. How you tackle turn 1 is quite another question. It's a corner that drops on the entry and then plunges away after the apex down to turn 2. Do you go in deep and risk running wide out onto the outer side of the circuit? Well, the first 2 cars, no problem. To Picariello from Yokomizo. He's gained a third of a second. Yokomizo is now starting to get increased attention from behind, less than a half a second clear of Yazam and Yafar. Melvin Moe minding his own business, happy in 4th place. Then come the 2 Audis, Rump ahead of Cheng, but it's that little battle behind. Just want to see the outcome. Did Kamimura hold off Imperatori into turn 1? We'll find out in a moment. But right now, Picariello breathing a sigh of release, because I'm absolutely convinced he is able to escape. Yazam and Yafar would have been right with him, but that incident down at turn 1 where Yafar was hit by the blue Anstone Racing Mercedes has cost him position. Has it damaged the car? I don't know, but now he's being delayed by it.
And no time penalties, no success penalties for Picariello to worry about as they change over. So as big a lead as he can manage for that changeover, it'll seed them very well for the second half of this race.
No, absolutely so. You're spot on there, Steve. But 1.3 seconds last time around, I think he's able to gain those valuable tenths of a second. At certain points, it might be out to 1.5 seconds. But right now, another thing he's not doing is pushing his tyres too hard. He can put his car where he wants it on the circuit and work his way forward from there, and that is a really, really nice position for a racing driver. We've seen Picariello pick his way up through the fields, through the course this season, but when he's the starting driver, almost invariably he's starting from pole position. He made that run down to the first corner. The battle is really for second behind him at the moment.
Yeah, we can't write off Yokomitsu for first, however. He's almost 1 3/10 behind the leader, but he's rattling off good sector times. He's gone fastest in the first sector, and he had a very good second sector a couple of laps ago, so we should certainly keep an eye on him. As this race develops, he could certainly mount a threat.
Well, looking the long shot down the start-finish straight, Frederick Schandorf is the meat, the Lamborghini between the Porsche and the Ferrari. So Imperatori is suddenly having to fight, being attacked from behind, and Chris van der Drift in that mix as well. The Hub Auto Corsa Ferrari, Yuya Sakamoto, has been gobbled up. He was 9th, and the Porsche with the black wings is van der Drift on the way forward. And really, this is where the racing is super, super tight. You can see 4 cars come about a second as they sweep round into the fabulous 100R turn. And managing to hold on. So the order is chopping and changing down there, but the top 6 positions, Picariello, Yokomitsu, Yafar, Moe, Rump and Cheng, not changing.
Yeah, those 4 cars, as we saw them tightly connected vertically, they're also testing the limits of the track. Laterally, almost all of them really, really stretch the curbs there, nearly taking the second pair of wheels off the course, which of course would tempt the stewards into action. We'll see what happens. We've already got car 13 and 97 under investigation for an incident at turn 10, and car 13 with a tracks limit issue, and they're looking at that one as well.
Well, that's running in 6th place overall. That's Frankie Chen Kong Fu in the second of the Absolute Racing Audis, and yes, we did see a little bit of clashing on the opening lap, but the drivers get the warnings about track limits, and I'm sure that message will come up again and again. In fact, it has, but now for his sister car. That's the car running 5th, Martin Rump, exceeding track limits at turn 4. We saw that on the opening lap, but he was not alone, as you said. You think about half the field. Still, as 4 laps are completed, 2.1 seconds clear, Alessio Picariello doing what he does. And I must say, Naoki Yokomitsu is now resisting everything that Yasemin Jafar is throwing at him, and there are no answers from the Malaysian at the moment. Melvin Moe running a quietish time in 4th place. He's 1.5 seconds down on Jafar. What I just want to point out at this early stage, way before the pit stops, is the 3 cars in the GT3 class that have got those 15, 10 and 5 second extra penalty time in the pit lane. They're starting respectively. The car that's got 15 seconds is the Mercedes. That is started with Manuel Metzger, started 7th, and unfortunately for him is just looking for the 27 car. Where that 97 car, where has it tumbled?
97 is in 20th.
It's 20. It's been a dreadful start for him, plus the pit stop. So I think we can put a rule. So the car, the team, the Solite Indigo Racing Mercedes. Hold on, I'm just going to stop my thought. This is GT4 action at its very, very best. Indeed, David Pun making his debut, driver from Hong Kong in the Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes, is being caught, and I suggest here comes the passing manoeuvre as Sunako Jukucho, veteran winner in this championship, not because he's old, but simply because he's had so many wins for BMW Team Studi. Well, I thought that was a passing manoeuvre, not on the way in, perhaps on the way out, but this is absolutely cracking. 7 cars in the GT4 class, brilliant battle for first place in class, and I must say David Pun has settled into this championship as though he's been doing it for years. And so, where'd you go? You've got a tough rival, a nut to crack. And around the halfway point in the lap, it looks though, well, that's sorted in the favour of the Mercedes for now, but far, far to go. Because my little train of thought about the cars that started with time penalties, obviously, and now I'm delighted it was interrupted by the racing action, but for Manuel Metzger, it's been a dreadful start to the race. From row 4, 7th position down to 20th, it's got to be 15 seconds extra at the pit stop. So what they gained yesterday with fine form to win the race is going away. Martin Rump, he's got 10 seconds extra, but he's in the battle. He's in 5th place overall. That might put him to the bottom of the top 10, but the Estonian pressing on now. And Yuya Sakamoto, we've seen his hub also Corsa Ferrari, that's running 11th. So you've got to say, the front 4 rows, those Mercedes, they've got nothing to worry about.
Not really.
They don't have success penalty.
And Yasemin Jafar is clearly bothering Yokomitsu, because although he's rattling off good sector times, the gap between Yokomitsu and Picariello in front is now 2.5 seconds, just slightly more in fact. So that battle for second clearly distracting, and Picariello has a real opportunity here to win the race very early on, barring any very unfortunate incidents.
You know what though, the last couple of yaps, I've been looking at those sector times as well, Steve. Jafar is not as close as he was. He got to that point and I thought, right, he's just going to drop back a little bit, doesn't want to overheat his tyres, wants to just see, because he hasn't often raced against Yokomitsu. They've often been separated, running at different points in the field across the 2 races at each of these rounds. Now he's got a chance, and Yokomitsu is not putting a wheel wrong. Drive-through penalty for car number 13. That's the car in 6th place overall, Frankie Chen Kong Fu. Incident early on at turn 10. I honestly can't tell you who precisely he clattered, but it was very busy in those opening laps.
Yeah, there's a lot to take in at times, isn't there?
Well, it certainly was. We had the first 4 Mercedes pulling clear, and in behind it was 6th through to about 12th place, where we've seen the cars nose to tail. In one of those opening laps, they were side by side.
Nice to see a couple of Malaysians there in the top 4. Yasemin Jafar, Melvin Moe, 3 and 4, keeping Southeast Asian hopes alive in this race. Beautiful, beautiful Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, fantastic circuit, and we may yet, it's quite a high cloud, it's thick cloud, but we may yet see Mount Fuji poke her head through, and it always puts a smile on people's faces. We had it yesterday morning between 7 o'clock flat and 7:01 in the morning, thereafter nothing more. 9:12 trying to pick up a position, or more to the point, yes, just gained by Liu Yihong Li. That's the second of the Absolute Racing Porsches. That's 12th place for him, and Rio Haryanto trying to fight back in the T2 Motorsports Ferrari, a fantastic metallic blue and red combination, but right now progress is in the hands of the Absolute Racing Porsche. Absolute Racing, very busy team. They run 2 Porsches and, for the sake of it, 2 Audis as well, and today it's their Audis going better, 5th and 6th, but the number 13 car, which is 6th, is the one that's going to have to report to the pits for the drive-through penalty.
First 4 places dominated by Mercedes, next 2 Audi, and then the next 3 Porsche, so nice grouping in the top 10.
Well, let's hear it. Well, yesterday it must be said we had 4 different manufacturers in the top 4 positions, so long way to go. A lot of these pairings are Pro-Am. In fact, the top 4 pairings are all Pro-Am, and it tends to be the pros who are, in fact, in each of these, it is the pro who started the race, so it could swing the other way when the Am takes over. The GT4 battle continues. Don't worry, gentlemen, only another 48 minutes to duke it out for position. It's Mercedes, Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes, with David Pun. I cannot tell you how impressed I am with him, keeping it around. You can see Sunako Chikuchu knows this circuit, being a Japanese driver, knows it very well, but he is starting to make mistakes. He's just going to parts he doesn't want to go because the racing line, not veering off it, is being covered very, very well indeed by David Punt.
Yeah, that's the battle for 25th overall, but of course these drivers have their own battle to concern themselves with, and they're certainly fighting it out, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely so. And I mean, their best time in qualifying was 11 seconds off pole. And I take the tight way in, you may take the just about coming into the chicane. They're clouting the curb. It was a tight line in, and then unfortunately physics and braking moved the car over the curbing. But now up through the... I still don't really like these final few corners. I liked it long ago when you took a wonderful sweep from the bottom of the circuit up in this enormously long corner onto the incredibly long start-finish straight. But to slow the overall pace of the very fastest single-seaters in sports car races, they changed it all with that uphill sequence of twisters. It only allows slow cars to overtake. But now what we're starting to get is Melvin Moe closing in on Jassim Jafar. Jassim Jafar in the 888 race engineering Mercedes, I think, is very slightly closer to the blue, yellow, orange and red car of Anstone Racing, Naoki Omitsu. But they're 3.6, probably slightly more, nearly 4 seconds down on the race-leading Mercedes of Alessio Picariello. Driven just, well, he's not got any pressure on him, but he's doing what he wants to do, which is try and stretch his advantage as much as he can before Jeffrey Lee takes over. He is the quicker driver, he is the pro in that Pro-Am pairing, so he'll pit as late as he possibly can. He's got nobody in his way. Well, it's all changed around in GT4. The junior class here, we've got 7 cars in this class, but it really is a case of 2 cars fighting it out. It's how it's been all weekend. It's that inter-manufacturer battle. BMW now ahead of Mercedes, but David Punt, having been passed, can he hang on? I think he can. Yeah,
we didn't see Jakuku's move to get ahead, but he was having a good sniff for quite a while, wasn't he? And this battle between the two of them is very engaging indeed.
Really is. I mean, Jakuku's experience is allowing him to experiment with lines he wouldn't normally take, whereas David Punt very much, as I said, stays on the racing line, but he must have left half a gap. Now, this is the corner last time around where there was a clattering of the curbs by the Mercedes driver. Again, he drives over them. Not really strictly necessary, not the thing to be done on the approach to the chicane. More traditional line there. The cleaner line from the car in front, but the pace of the Mercedes is very good. It seems its straight line performance is quite enough to keep it in the mix with the BMW that looks a little more nimble around the corners.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on this one for you because they come close to touching quite a few times. Really very close. Lovely battle to watch.
Yeah, and you can't blame the director from following them because they are taking different approaches to pretty much every single point on the circuit, bar the straight. And again, now, what you saw, the tail coming out a little bit for the Mercedes, that will have hampered him for a nanosecond from putting the power down, which is what you need to do for acceleration, but he has the advantage, he's got the slipstream. The Mercedes seems quick in a straight line as well. I think that little mistake has just broken that slipstream. It's not as effective as if he'd been straight when he tried to accelerate in the Mercedes. But for now, in the background, you can see the team iRace.win Mercedes, still an awkward team name to say, but they are running 3rd and 4th in the GT4 class with newcomer Chi ahead of Setiawan Santoso. So good run there for Joe Chi. But they're racing in a pair, but this is the one that's beguiling. This is the one you want to watch for the lead in the class. And I'm keeping an eye on the top of the field. It's 4.6 seconds, and Picariello is now ahead of Yokomizo in the lead of the race. Yokomizo has company. Yazama Nifar, maybe he was keeping his tyres sweet when he realised there wasn't going to be a chance around the first couple of laps to reverse what happened to him at the first corner when Yokomizo gave him a bit of a clip. You saw the silver Mercedes going sideways, and now this could be a point of change. They're coming up the tail enders in the GT4 class.
Yeah, this could be very engaging if Jasman has anything like a good car under his seat, then he'll certainly keep a pace with Yokomitsu as best he can.
Well, they picked off one of GT4 Mercedes. That's the Birth Racing project example. Car number 19 in the hands of Daisuke Yamawaki. Passed him easily, but it was important he stayed out of position. Next car up the line is Masahiko Ida. Yes, this weekend we got 2 cars for the super popular BMW Team Studi, keeping out of the way. The Team Studi, based on a tuning house, they do a lot of parts for Go Faster parts for Go Faster BMWs. Very, very popular. As you experience here, Steve, in Japan, they do love their car clubs, they do love their tuning.
Jazzman just hit the curb there and lost a few tenths, I would imagine. Just rumbled over it where it wasn't the cleaner line there as he was trying to get round a back marker. Managed to do that successfully, but just gave a little bit too much room and lost a bit of pace. So he's gonna use the next few corners to see if he can eat up that gap and mount a challenge once more.
Now, Frankie Chen Kong Fu has served that drive-through penalty for contact at turn number 10. Now, the team manager of car 17 to report to race control, not any time, now. And that is the car in second place, the blue Mercedes we looked at. You don't have to be clairvoyant as the drivers. There's Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim just keeping those
hand-eye coordination, I suppose,
under control. But car 17, there was the incident down at turn 1 where Yokomizo came up and tapped the back of, just at the turning point pretty much, of the corner, the critical point when the car's unbalanced. It was the AAA Racing Mercedes that got put sideways and got put out of second place down into third, has yet to manage to reverse that position, and all along the gap is stretching away for the race leader, Alessio Picariello. He'll hand over to Jeffrey Lee. But that Craft Bamboo Racing example, number 88, the Mercedes, looks fantastic at the front of the field. It's good standing still, but it's not standing still. It's best part of 5 seconds clear in the lead of the race.
And as we look at these two, the reason you're not seeing Picariello is because he's so far ahead, 4.719 seconds. So that gap is very comfortable for him now. He certainly won't be cruising, but he'll look to get to the changeover without doing any unnecessary damage before Lee takes over.
He's cool, calm, collected. I think he's in such a good position. He could be just trying to think what he's going to have for lunch when he comes in at the midpoint in the race. But again, he's got to get around the GT4 runners. He's passed almost all of them. Just the top 2 in class, Sanaka Chukuchu in the BMW, and David Pan in the Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes. There they are, but he'll have the power to blast past them. They're not in his way in the corner. That's the final corner coming onto the start-finish straight. And let's have a look. 4.7 seconds was the gap between P1 and P2. Here's the car in P2. That is the car that could be in trouble. The Anstone Racing Mercedes. It was 4.7 seconds last time. We'll let you know. Has that car now? There have been some cars to pass. Went out to 5.1 seconds part way around the lap. Picariello is now waiting for the second car to come over the start line. 5.3 seconds precisely. So at every point on the circuit, our race leader is pulling further clear.
Yeah, that's right. His best lap came on lap 2, so that was some time ago, but he's certainly managing to maintain that distance. 40 minutes left in this race now.
Car 1-7, time penalty 5 seconds, insert turn 1. Car 1-7, time penalty 5 seconds, insert turn 1.
Just like to clarify, race control just pointed 5-second penalty for the car in second place, driven by Naoki Yokomizo. There is the confirmation on the screen. That's not a stop, 5 seconds go penalty. That is just 5 seconds added to their race time. So at the conclusion of the race, I mean, certainly, I'm sure Yasemin Yafar will be thinking something a little stronger might be required, but that is the penalty for now. So quite clearly, anyone who's within 5 seconds, which is the next runners all the way down to Martin Rump in 5th place, are effectively ahead. But let's look at battling a little further down the field. Doesn't matter if you're at the front or right at the tail. This is for 20th position, and great to have the number 60 crew with us. They joined last time out, the NM Corsa Porsche crew, and it's today started by Shigekaku Wakisaka, then Kei Nakanishi will do the second part of the race. But joining us for the first time this season, the bright yellowy green Ferrari, Dayglow Ferrari, Car Guy Racing, their team based just outside the circuit perimeter. And that's being pushed on by, this is a treble 7 car, and it's being driven very nicely in the early stages of the race by Takeshi Kimura. And they'll hand over to Yusuke Yamasaki in the second part of the race. But it doesn't matter, this is GT Racing, they're out racing cars they absolutely adore on a brilliant circuit. Doesn't matter they're down for 20th position. A whole gaggle of cars up ahead that have to pick their way round. And at the moment, it looks like the advantage of this group is with the Porsche, not just because it's in front. It looks as able to pull clear at this point. But then, coming up on some GT4s, that's a chance, again, for the Car Guy Racing Ferrari to close in.
I had a walk right around this track this morning, Bruce. There's so many outstanding vantage points for the fans to watch from. It's a real treat.
And they love it, and they move around, and there's very good circuit PA, so they can hear, particularly with one of the support races, lots of screaming from the race commentator, full of passion for the BRZ race, huge fields of cars. And again, what makes the circuit fun for the drivers is all the gradient they have to play with, but it makes it really, really good for spectators, because you can have a high vantage point and see a lot of the track. Now, as the 918 Porsche, the Panther AAS Motorsport car, goes past the GT4 front runners, no problem at all for the driver at the wheel of 918, and that's Alexander Imperatori. He's absolutely lonely in 6th place now. He's dropped Yuta Kamimura. We saw them in the early stages of the races with the red ARN Porsche somewhat ahead, but the Swiss racer has prevailed and is pulling clear. This car yesterday had a, how should we say, interesting moment when the bonnet flew up and was hard back against the screen of the car and had to be driven for more than half a lap, and unfortunately that involved a clatter into the side of the 912. at the corner now known as Advent Corner, the midpoint of the lap, the lowest, pretty much one of the lowest points on the circuit, but he got back to the pit lane. Unlike there was a driver in the Nürburgring 24 hours, or one of the races beforehand this year, where the bonnet came up and the driver got it the whole way back to the pit lane, went into pit entry and then hit the end of the pit wall. And his crew, exhausted later in the race, just sat in their deck chairs in the garage, and, well, they couldn't but laugh, really. He'd done 99.9% of the recovery job. Here's the ARN Racing Porsche going past the class leader in GT4. But Yuta Kamimura is some distance now behind Alex Imperatori. Imperatori in 6th as the lead Porsche. The second Porsche, Yuta Kamimura, going through, well, 4.7 seconds further down, so the Swiss driver has become predominant. Good to see the Lamborghini going well again in the hands of Frederick Schandorf. We saw it in the race. Manufacturers were 2x2. The last couple of laps have been 2 places gained by the Dane. One because Frankie Chen Kong Fu came in to serve the drive-through penalty for contact. Second warning to 2 drivers for exceeding track limits. They're not right at the sharp end of the field. It's car number 12 that's being pinged. Well, it is at the sharp end of the field. What am I talking about? We saw an early warning for Martin Rump. He's running in 5th position. The other car is car 11. Sorry, I was thinking they were both in GT4. And that's Tony Fong, the GTO race. Oh dear, 9-10. This is a car that just... Chris van der Drift did the support race this morning, Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia, and he wasn't his dream result. The first time he hasn't won in the championship this year. Hasn't been first at the finish, and now a spin. So everybody else will advance. Chris van der Drift came across the line in 17th position, so really not going where he wanted with the JRM.
I'm not entirely sure that he's stuck there, Bruce. I think he was looking for a gap in traffic to get back on track. We'll see if we can update you on that.
Yeah, well, great battle in the AM class. We've just had a change of position because Asai is in the 128 Patana Motorsport Lamborghini. The black one is now behind the red one. I like doing like a snooker commentary, but the red one in the hands of Ben Porter. That took its 2nd AM class win of the year, so Andrew McPherson will be egging his fellow Australian on as that position changes, and for the disappointment there for the Japanese racer in the Patana Motorsport Lamborghini, Akihiro Asai. Many decades of racing. But right now, Ben Porter, this part of the season is proving very good for him. Really fantastic run, where he's running deep inside the overall top 10 in the opening stages of one of the 2 races at Suzuka. Now again in the action, somewhat further down the order. There's AM cars, 1st and 2nd in class, 18th and 19th, but it's the AMAC Motorsport car racing with IMAC livery this weekend, getting on the tail of one of the 2 team iRace.win Mercedes in the GT4 class, and there you can see the example of just how much more power and downforce and more aerodynamic delights you have on the GT3 runners. But again, driver of 199, Joe Chi, on his debut in the championship, very neatly keeping out of the way.
That's a good angle of how steep that hill is, and you can see Van der Drift has not managed to get back on track, so it wasn't a question of traffic. That car looks decidedly stalled.
What we want to know is, I doubt very much that the driver of Chris van der Drift's experience and calibre has just rotated there. He might have been given a helping hand. We didn't see the incident, but unfortunately there may be damage on the far side of the car. Is why he's not going. Might be a broken drive shaft if there was a big hit. It could simply be another problem. If it was electrical, I think he would have drifted and not left the car in that particular place. It's not the safest place on the circuit to leave your car.
The gap at the front, by the way, I should update you, between Picariello and Yokomitsu, now 7.7 seconds. So it's looking very, very good for the 88 car.
Well, as I said, we have overall honours, we have Pro-Am honours, we have AM honours. You can see how every class counts, and of course GT4 class as well. And the AM honours are being fought very, very hard indeed. Second place is being fought very, very hard likewise, but we know that Yokomizo in the blue Mercedes ahead of the silver Mercedes has got the 5 seconds time to be added to his time. So into the pit lane, pit window isn't open. This is pit window is open. They absolutely timed that to perfection. Just
done.
Got in time, but this is a car that's already had a warning for track limit violations. Gosh, the pit window came straight around, and Steve Dawson is now leaving the commentary box. We'll hear from him doing interviews in the pit lane sometime very soon. But as the pro drivers filling the top 4 places in Pro-Am lineups are going to stay out for as long as they possibly can. The pit window is open for 10 minutes. Steve should have a chance to get up there in time to grab words with either Alessio Picariello, who most undoubtedly will be in the lead of the race, when he brings it in to hand over to Jeffrey Lee. So we're going to hear what's going to happen with the 88 Mercedes sometime soon. But right now, the GT4 runners coming into the pits as well from 4th in class, Setio Juan Santoso. He will hand over to Ringo Chong. They're having a very good pairing this year. Now the 27 Hub also Corsa Ferrari. That was just outside, just around the tail of the top 10. Yuya Sakamoto kicked it off, and this weekend he's racing with Marco Seefried, German racer, and they came home yesterday in 3rd place. Unfortunately, that means 5 seconds extra sitting at a standstill. The pit stop has to last a minimum of 90 seconds from the moment the car crosses the line to enter the pit lane, the white line that is the point at which they must be down to the pit lane speed limit, to the moment 90 seconds later is the minimum time before they can cross the white line. The Ferrari just crossing now. So the driver change hasn't been enormously swift for the number 12 crew, because the Ferrari was 5 positions, 6 positions further back going to the pit stop. Had the 5 seconds extra at the standstill and didn't see that far behind. Right, pit window still open, no chance, and in comes Darrell Young. He will hand over to Christina Nielsen. Craft Bamboo Racing, they're entering 3 cars in the top class, and as we've seen, also fighting in the GT4 class, running in 2nd place in the hands of David Punt at the moment. But Christina Nielsen, you can see the Danish flag around the side of her helmet, is out into the pit lane to get in the car. Darrell Young was jogging around the back of the car to get out of safety. But 2 other cars entered by Craft Bamboo Racing. This one leading the race, the number 88. 8 seconds clear now in the hands of Alessio Picariello. And Melvin Moe in the number 55, the black, white and pink car, having a really good run in 4th place overall. So Mercedes and particularly Craft Bamboo Racing shining here at the Fuji Speedway. Top 7 positions occupied by Pro-Am pairing. So the best of the rest in an all-pro pairing is in 8th place. The 912 Porsche from Absolute Racing, Liu Yihong Li, and he will hand that over for the second part of the race to his teammate in the 912, and that is Wan Bo. Yuan tends to be slightly quicker of the pairing. There's the image, first through to second, 8.7 seconds back to the number 17 Mercedes from Andstone Racing. That has 5 seconds extra added to its time, which effectively puts it back, well, certainly behind the chasing Malaysians in 3rd place overall. You've got Yasmin Yafar and then Melvin Moe. In comes the 912. That was the leading car in the all-pro lineup. That was 8th overall, Liu Yihong Li, and then over to Wan Bo. Picariello just able to lap at the pace he needs to go. Manuel Metzger, this is yesterday's race-winning car, but Metzger came in from outside the top dozen cars, started 7th in the grid. Of course, he's going to be even further back because that victory yesterday means 15 seconds extra at a standstill, but he is going to be probably down in about 20th place. Talk about the swinging of the pendulum. Another car to be worn for track limits. It's getting a little bit boring, but it could shape the race. Car number 77 could shape the race in particular, because that's the car that was just demoted to 2nd in the GT4 class. So our new man David Punt clearly just getting a little carried away. Here is the car that's just had that warning, but it's a first warning. It's when you get to the 3rd warning that you get that drive-through penalty. Comes back out in the GT4 class, delayed by the extra time at the pit stop. The Team iRace.win Mercedes also in that GT4 class, right in behind. Success Racing, one of 4 new entries to the GT3 class this weekend, and 2 new cars in the GT4 grouping as well. Success Racing, and Sato brings that in, the 390 Lamborghini, driven in the first part of the race by Motoharu Sato, now being handed over to Tomotsu Kondo. There goes Kondo, jogging around to get into position, and out comes the 912 Porsche. So as long as the pit window's open, it's quite difficult to go down the running order, except for the fact that the top half dozen cars have not pitted. So it's Picariello by 9.1 seconds. In comes the car from 7th place. That's Yusa Kamimura. ARN Racing Porsche team. It used to be a Ferrari team, but they've really taken to the Porsche. And a really, really strong showing yesterday. The top finishes in Pro-Am, 6th place overall. 97, the Mercedes that won yesterday's had that time penalty. We'll wait for all the pit stops before we run you down the overall order. But as you can see, for those that have pitted, number 12 and 9-12. They weren't close before the pit stops, but number 12 car, the Absolute Racing Audi, had to have an extra 10 seconds at a standstill. Now that is fierce company. Both entered by Absolute Racing, but the Audi from Absolute in front of the Porsche from Absolute. But Porsche very, very deep into the corner. No, that's not quite how you do it, Juan. Had a little go just in the corner before the chicane, but that was never going to work. So the GT4 leader waits towards the end of the pit window period, which is 10 minutes in the middle of the race. Tanaka Takuchu decided, OK, Takayuki Kinoshita, my dear friend and teammate, now is your turn. What a livery. Absolutely just vibrant in every way. Makes your eyes a little bit sore from time to time, but that BMW M4, and particularly in the hands of BMW Team Studio, is such a potent weapon. Attracts a lot of attention around the circuits. A lot of fans really love buying the merchandise, loving their T-shirts. You'll see them absolutely everywhere around the track here, particularly last 2 weekends ago at Suzuka and here at Fuji Speedway. Right, from second place, in comes Naoki Yokomitsu. Out of the car he goes, and then Juvai will get into the car, into that Mercedes. Juvai, though, is a bronze-ranked driver. Naoki Yokomitsu, more experience. As the McLaren comes out of the pits, he's a silver, so the pace of that car will drop away. And also, particularly, Juvai will be chastened, because yesterday he not only had 2 collisions with the same rival, he then was called in for a drive-through into the pits, and I joked, I wished I hadn't now, saying don't get done for speeding in the pit lane, which he did when he came in to serve the penalty. He had to come in one more time, so it really went rather wrong for him. But anyhow, certainly in the hands of Naoki Yokomitsu and Stone Racing, will be very pleased to see their car running at the front end of the race, running in a very competitive second place. Plus, they'll have that extra 5 seconds added to their race time, of course. So, now Takayuki Kinoshita. Oh, his teammate this weekend, they're entering their second car, and the teammate has gone for a little rotation. That's Umeda. Shinsuke Umeda got it wrong, but nothing wrong for Takayuki Kinoshita. I'm sure he'll be in the lead of GT4 when all the cars have made their pit stops. In fact, the rival car from Craft Bamboo Racing, now in the hands of Jean-Marc Merlin, has made a pit stop. The only one that hasn't in class is Joe Shi in car number 199. But in from the lead, he waited as late as he dared with 45 seconds on the clock when he dived off the circuit. Comes our race leader, Alessio Picariello. Jeffrey Lee did such a brilliant job last time out. Oh dear, someone who hasn't done a brilliant job. The number 19 Birth Racing Project Mercedes making its debut in the championship. That has clattered into something or someone. He's only got 2 more corners to go before he can come into the pits. But going back to the thought about Jeffrey Lee, is the fact he was under huge pressure to bring this car home. There was a safety car period towards the end of the race. The field got right onto his tail, but he brought it home. Top 6 cars covered by 2 seconds, but it was the 88 car that prevailed in the second race at Suzuka. Can it do so again today? Certainly Picariello has done the job required of him, and there it is sitting on the stands, but no success penalty, because yesterday it finished not in the top handful of positions. In fact, with problems in the race, it was down in 16th position. Talk about problems. The Birth Racing Project Mercedes did well in a car that doesn't want to turn. Now, can he get enough turning to get it into pit lane? And will he get? Yes, he's managed just to get in it. He got it around those final 2 corners, but whether that is, I don't think it's. I think it's steering as well as a punctured tyre. Well done, got it in. Now move it out of the way, please. So Picariello in from the lead of the race. Everybody has now made their pit stops. We wanted to hear from Alessio Picariello, and we sent Steve sprinting up. So let's hear from the Belgian who led the race.
Alessio's with me. What a super first leg that was, Alessio. You must be very pleased.
Yeah, I felt so comfortable in the car. I didn't even need to push. I saw it in the in-lap. In the in-lap, I was really pushing, and I could go much quicker. So I'm a bit... I could go even quicker, but no, it's difficult to keep the tire temperature and pressure where we want, because it's sliding a lot, especially down to sector 3, so it's not about pushing a lot. And there was a lot of headwind also, so I was trying to take some side draft, you know, to get even more speed in the straight line. But now, yeah, finger crossed, let's see what Jeffrey can do.
We spoke about the starts at the beginning. You managed to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, actually I had some contacts. I don't know who touched me. I think it's Jafar who touched me on the side, but it was side by side, so no big arm there. But it was really close in 3-1, but I'm happy I got the jump right, and yeah, then after the pace was good. Thanks to the team to give me such a good car.
Well done, thanks.
Cheers.
Always good to hear from Alessio Picariello, and the tap that he received from Yasemin Farr was not Yasemin's fault, because of course, as we saw, and the punishment has been meted out, his silver Mercedes was given a tap by the blue Mercedes of Anstone Racing, and that's what made it swing around and tap the side of the race leading car. So Jeffrey Lee leading at the moment from Jeffrey Ibrahim, the two Jeffreys. Jeffrey Lee in the Craft Bamboo Racing number 88 Mercedes, and the Prince of Johor in the 888 car in second place. Let's see how close they are. 10.9 seconds when they completed their laps. But let's get the accurate timing, because some of those were on out laps, and that will readjust the gaps between them. But certainly the 88 Mercedes, led away from pole position, is still leading the race. There, in fact, in the background of the shot, we've got the GT4 class leader, now Takayuki Kinoshita. The 88 Mercedes is another GT4 Mercedes, and the silver Mercedes with Jeffrey Ibrahim, Prince of Johor. He finished 4th on his championship debut in his home race at Sepang at the start of the season. And the 82 car, we saw it have a spin and clearly picked up some damage as well, perhaps as a result of the spin, or maybe from a further incident for Shinsuke Umeda. Another car limping in, so the GT4 class is where the bodywork damage is going on. Right, now I can give you the gap, first to second, 9.4 seconds from Jeffrey Lee back to Jeffrey Ibrahim. So Jeffrey Ibrahim, Prince of Johor, racing in very, very lofty company. But who's coming up behind? The 918 Porsche is in third place, another 8 seconds back. That's Vutikon into Fuvasak. And then it gets very busy indeed. Juvai in the Anstone Racing Mercedes. I haven't established if he's had the 5 seconds added to his time. I think that will be after the end of the race, so he'll shuffle down the order a little bit, but he's running in 4th place. And then comes the number 8, well, it was fleetingly the number 8 Porsche. We've just seen it pass because Melvin Moe has handed over to Daniel Lau, and Daniel Lau in the white, pink and black Craft Racing Bamboo Racing Mercedes with True written on the door is now up into 5th place overall. Pro-Am drivers filling the top 6 positions, but we're waiting for the Pro lineups to start making their advantage, because it tends to be the AMs who take the second stint in the Pro-Am lineups. So the front 6 cars theoretically should be slower than some of the other cars making their way forward. And watch out for Wear on Tan in the number 12 Audi. He's going to be in the mix too. But it's almost like the opening lap of the race around the tail of the top 10. Look at them, 2 abreast. They go at the midpoint of the circuit. The Hub Auto Corsa Ferrari going past Alex Au in the white Lamborghini from Vincenzo Sospiri Racing. He's tucked in behind the number 912 there. Yes, oh dear, oh no, we've just had Daniel Au going for a spin. He just gained a position over Hiroaki Nagai, moved into 5th, and now he's shuffled right down in the 999. Audi is going to be right onto his tail and going around the outside. Oh dear, it really seemed it was going to be a fabulous result for Craft Bamboo Racing, but one of their cars having a little bit of a setback. But Yasemin Jafar, great stint. He was 3rd, but the cow is now in 2nd. With Steve.
Yeah, Jasman Jafar is with me. Jasman, first of all, tell me about that start.
Yeah, I had a good start off the line. I was slightly in front of Picariello, but I got hit by Yokomitsu at the start. Luckily to save it, but he kept in front of me the whole race, so lost a bit of time with Picariello pulling a gap, but I think it's not over.
You managed to maintain competitiveness though throughout the first leg. What are your hopes for the second half now?
Now I'm confident Prince Ibrahim will do well. He's been working hard, and I'm confident as a team that we've come a long way.
Just finally, what about driving on this track? Lots of fun?
Loads of fun. Great memories as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Such a well-balanced driver, Yasemin Jafar, and he's going to be very, very proud of the driver on board, his teammate, the Prince of Johor, Jeffrey Ibrahim, 2nd place. In his lap times, he is going to be caught. Vutikon Intrafuvasak is the driver who's going to be making the moves in the number 918 Porsche, the AAS Panther Motorsport car. Look at this battling, the number 8 Porsche running around at the head. That's Hiroaki Nagai, but he's got Wanbo in the 912 Porsche from Absolute Racing, and the driver who's really making moves now, Marco Seefried. Both Bo and Seefried are pro drivers. All the cars ahead, except for Wear on Tan, who's driving in the number 12 Audi in 5th place overall. Pretty much everybody ahead is an AM driver, so we're going to have a compression in the front end of the field, just under 20 minutes remaining. So what is pretty close is going to become a whole lot closer. Out front, looking, I was about to say pretty, we've had further problems for the 55 Craft Bamboo car. Daniel Lau had a spin, and now he and David Chipto Biantoro in the T2 Motorsport
car
Ferrari
number 8,
have had
drive-through penalty. Car number 8, drive-through penalty for exceeding track limits.
That is the ARN Racing Porsche in 6th place overall. So Hiroaki Nagai, it wasn't all his own work. I think the first driver in the car, the driver who kicked off in this race, has put some of those down. That was Yuta Kamimura. So he's got to drive through penalties. The red and white Porsche, that is going to move everyone else up, and that's very good opportunity for Wambo and in the 912 Porsche from Absolute Racing, and the driver behind in the silver and red Ferrari, Marco Seefried, both looking very purposeful. These two drivers could get up onto the podium today, absolutely certainly. Just out of the background, the shot, you see the white Lamborghini now in the hands of Alex Au and Christina Nielsen. She took over the green Craft Bamboo Racing.
9-7, stop and go. 0 seconds less than mandatory pit stop time. Car 9-7, stop and go. 0 seconds less than mandatory pit stop time.
Yesterday's winners are today's sinners. That is the 97 Craft. The Indigo Racing Mercedes, that's now pit stop misdemeanor. So for Roelof Bruins, right at the sharp end of the championship, today is going to be a 0 score. Still, that T2 Motorsport Ferrari has not been moved, where it's had contact with Daniel Au in one of the 3 Craft Bamboo Racing cars, and the damaged front end on the second of the 2 BMW Team Studi M4s. Presumably that's what's it's now starting to droop. Might have had a warning flag for technical problems. That is coming into the pits out of any class reckoning, but great to have them on board. And I almost don't dare look at the timing screen as Steve Dawson, huffing and puffing, comes and rejoins me in the commentary box. But there are so many penalties being issued, people having pit stop misdemeanors. And Steve, you might have just missed it. Yesterday's winning car, the Indigo Racing Mercedes, way down the order, started 7th, was going to be at a standstill for an age because of the success penalty, now a drive-through penalty. They have to understand the mandatory pit stop time. They added the extra 15 seconds, but clearly didn't do their maths very well. Now the drive-through penalty.
It's a very material aspect of racing, isn't it? And here's some more action as we see 97 diving into the pits.
Yeah, well, this is coming in to serve its penalty, and let's hope they get the penalty sequence better than Anstone Racing did yesterday, when the driver seemed to pop his belts and want to get out to the team boss who wanted him in the car to get going all over again. Stop and go. Well done. Indigo Racing is a team that's just finding very, very strong form. Car is good, drivers are good, but today is going to be a no score for Manuel Metzger. And the driver's taking that out, Roelof Bruins. And it looks like the second car
Safety car deployed. Safety car deployed.
Okay, as the 82 BMW looks over and out for the race. Safety car deployed. That will be because the T2 Motorsport Ferrari has not been able to be moved. The turn-in point for the right-hander before the chicane is approached through a double kink straight, if you call it a curving straight. You know what I mean, Steve.
I know what you mean.
But it's a straight line, and the car is sitting dead ahead down at the lower part of the circuit. So, safety car, what does that mean? 11.75 seconds advantage for Jeffrey Lee. Will come down to next to nothing. This is a real chance for Jeffrey Ibrahim in his first season of racing to see if he can get a restart correctly. So here is our race leader. Here is our AMG Mercedes coming out to lead the field around. I'm just going to write that down. 11.75 seconds. In fact, on the start-finish line, it went out to 14.55 seconds. But it's now, in fact, a change of second position because it's not Ibrahim in second place. Vutigon Fuvasak, the Thai racer, has moved himself up in the 918 car. This is a car that had bad luck yesterday. I have to say today, it's suddenly looking a whole lot better for Inter Fuvasak.
So this sort of little breather, a chance for me to say that every time I come back after the mid-race interviews, I'm stunned at how much the leaderboard has changed. There's so much that goes on during that period, and you talk about drivers having to be careful, prudent, looking very, do their due diligence about making sure they get these aspects of the race right, because it becomes very material at the end.
It really does, and they have to know the procedure. But what I was about to talk about was the car that I thought was going to be running in second place, up behind our race leader, which is now Jeffrey Lee. Oh dear, bodywork damage. Has been a clunk up the back of the McLaren. That is unfortunate. So that'll go dropping down the order. That's PT Biram Bagdi. Someone has gone into the tail end of that, or maybe a spin in his own right. But anyhow, with bodywork rubbing on a deflating tyre there. But what I was going to talk about, this would be the first chance for Jeffrey Ibrahim in what should have been second place to see if he could understand and guess when Jeffrey Lee was going to floor the throttle when the safety car released the field. But he's not getting that opportunity. Just as it came his way, Vutigon Fuvasak moved the number 918 Panther AAS Porsche up into second place. He's got more experience, so he's got more of a chance of trying to topple Jeffrey Lee. Quick change. Doesn't look as though the bodywork was on that tyre. I think it was punctured elsewhere. This is the reason the safety car is out there, still trying to rescue the T2 Motorsport Ferrari. There is damage off the side of the circuit. It ain't going anywhere. And the car that may well have clipped it, Daniel Lau in the 55 Craft Bamboo car, that has, well, it's out of the scene. It hasn't got back to the pit lane by the looks of things, but it's out of camera shot and moved away. But a far happier story for Craft Bamboo Racing is one of their other cars. The 88 car is at the front of the pack. It's Jeffrey Lee. We saw him at Suzuka. He locked out the end of the race. There was a safety car period that brought people onto his tail. Alessio Picariello was pacing up and down in the pit garage, wondering if his teammate Jeffrey Lee could hold on, could hold his nerve. But the driver from Taipei did exactly that. It was super, super close at the finish. And they were released with just a few moments to go at Suzuka. Can Jeffrey Lee do it all over again? Certainly it's a pairing that's maturing very, very well in 2018 for Craft Bamboo Racing. We know Alessio Picariello is very quick. He's picked off pole positions, but they won the opening race at Sepang. They won the second race at Suzuka. Can they be a hat-trick duo in the 2019 championship? This is a very, very good opportunity. But for Vutikon, Intra Fuvasak, tucked in behind, weaving around, still trying to keep heat in the tyres. He's going to try and pick the moment. What we have to look for is the lights are still flashing on the roof of the Mercedes AMG car that's leading around the field, controlling the pace of those behind. We will get message at some point that the safety car is coming in. And for the lead driver, he's got to look to see when the lighting bar goes from flashing to static.
Good old safety car. It makes a race that almost gave us a foregone conclusion in terms of the winner, now competitive in the final 11 minutes or so.
Well, Jeffrey Lee was looking good. He had the advantage, but for everyone else behind, with a number of pro drivers taking over from their AM counterparts who did the first half of the race, there was every chance the order is being shuffled. People I want to look for, the hub also calls to Ferrari. There it is, the middle of your screen, the silver Ferrari just behind the grey and green Porsche. Those are two cars. Marco Seefried in 27, the 912 Porsche, Wambo. They should be able to pick off some of the drivers ahead of them, and likely, equally, the car just in front. So
safety car in the pits at the end of this lap. Safety car in the pits at the end of this lap.
Okay, there's the confirmation. The car's fifth, the number 12 Audi, just in our shot. Look out for that one. Wear and Tan, a pro driver. All AM drivers in front of him. Wambo, the 912 Porsche, there it is, dark grey with the green stripes. That's in sixth. He's a pro driver. And Marco Seefried is what you'd probably call a pro driver. He is in seventh place overall. These drivers could all have a tilt at the podium. But the clock counts down, just over 10 minutes remaining. We will pretty much go racing again. The safety car is about to withdraw, and as soon as it does so, Jeffrey Lee has got to try and choose the moment to floor the throttle. It's often a lot of gamesmanship, as you can imagine, Steve. Pretend to do it, don't do it. But when you go, you've got to go. And for the drivers behind, they've got to interpret that moment, not anticipate it.
Yeah, it's up to Jeffrey Lee to use his experience and absolutely dictate how the beginning of this next phase of the race goes. It's all in his hands, and everybody behind him will just have to literally toe the line.
Yeah, but it's amazing how many drivers have never been at the front of the queue when it comes to a safety car restart. Of course, Jeffrey had experience last time out at Suzuka, but, you know, he's not been racing since 2003, but he sort of went away, came back. You know, he's been here, there and everywhere, but he's really finding his form in this Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes. GT3 very much suits him, but the pressure's not just in the car, in him, it's in his head. Has he got it right? Yes, he has before. That is a huge, huge confidence builder. Just going to go down through the classes. Here comes the restart. And the first three have done very, very well indeed. It's easiest for the leader, Jeffrey Lee. He's got it right. We're now green flag racing. Vutikon into Fuvasak, stay close behind, but a few car lengths lost by Jeffrey Ibrahim. It's all about gaining experience. He's now got to be concerned. Another Mercedes coming into the mix. Juvai, number 17. He makes a bit of a mess in the opening corner, and Wear on Tan, the top pro driver up there, says thank you. Fifth becomes fourth, and likewise nearly second place has become first, but still Jeffrey Lee at the front of the field. Vutikon into Fuvasak in the Porsche, going one way, going the other, running a little bit wide. Now they're into 100R, but a far better entry from Jeffrey Lee. That should buy him a little bit of more time in the lead of the race. In behind, in third place, Jeffrey Ibrahim. Not quite staying with them, but for now staying ahead of the fourth place runner. But that is now Wear on Tan in the grey number 12 Audi, entered by Absolute Racing. He may yet get into the lead of this race, and certainly the number 12 Audi has had all sorts of bad luck this season. He served a 10-second penalty for finishing second yesterday. This could be the first win for number 12. I'm not getting ahead of myself, not yet, but the first five all clear. They're bunching right up. They're as close as they were behind the safety car, if not more so. So let's just go down the order. It's Lee, it's
Car
Fuvasak.
912, drive-through penalty for exceeding track limits. Car 912, drive-through penalty for exceeding track limits.
That is the car in 6th place overall, fallen off the tail of this group. It's Wambo. So he was running 2nd in the Silver Cup class. Drive-through penalty, throw that result in the bin. So step up everyone behind. Marco Seefried, still my favourite to get onto the podium. But where is the Silver Ferrari? Some distance back, just coming into shot at the top of the screen. But look, just under 8 minutes on the clock. Can he get onto the tail of this group? Jeffrey Lee, he's resisted the pressure before in Suzuka. Now he's got a lot more pressure. 3 manufacturers, Mercedes, 2nd place Porsche, 3rd place Audi. That is why balanced performance works. And right now, what works best of all is a slipstream. Cover the inside, you should be okay. But unfortunately for Jeffrey Lee, he guessed wrong, went to the outside. Can Fuvasak get the braking done? He's got into the lead of the race. He stayed on the grey stuff. Really well done, wasn't it?
Beautifully done.
And in all of that, we had Wear and Tan moving up into 3rd place. Jeffrey Ibrahim is now at the back of that pack in 5th, but just had Jouvai go past him as well. So it's all changing. And unfortunately for Jeffrey Lee, wants the leader now in 2nd place. Fuvasak in terms of natural pace ought to pull through. But look, already 3rd place isn't good enough for Wear on Tan, going around the outside of Jeffrey Lee, the Audi into 2nd place. So it's now Porsche leading from Audi, from Mercedes, all changing. The 2nd of the Mercedes in that group is Jouvai, and the 3rd of the Mercedes in the group sticking to the tail. He's been passed, but he's not dropping off. He could yet get a podium. Jeffrey Ibrahim, the Prince of Johor, learning all the time. So I thought the battle of 2nd was sorted. Wear and Tan had got through, but Jeffrey Lee fancied to go very, very late braking just before the chicane. This is a chance for Jouvai to get under his tail, and all this is fantastic news for Fuvasak. As they fight, he pulls clear.
Yeah, your choice for a podium, Seefried, is a little bit off the pace. He's got clear air. I think he might just squeeze it up a little bit now. There's plenty of time left. As you say, it's going to be a fascinating final 6 minutes.
Yeah, right up. Just the Silver Ferrari is just coming up on the Silver Mercedes. Slightly wide exit from Jeffrey Ibrahim, all over the coast, but goes out the outside of Jouvai. 4th place is mine, but both those were compromised. Wait for the Silver Ferrari, trying to have a go. He's just out of shot. He's right behind Jouvai. The Anstone Racing Mercedes surely came around in 4th place on this lap. Now he's down to 6th and maybe go past both, but no, the outside ain't there. Jeffrey Ibrahim covers him off, now trying to come up the inside. Who's going to get the braking? Oh, I slightly fear Jouvai very deep into the corner. Ibrahim around the outside, and I think ducking down the inside. There he goes of the two of them, but given a tap by Jouvai, damaged the Ferrari. Oh, puts Christina Nielsen on the grass. She puts her foot down, keeps it down. I think we're going to have a puncture already for the Ferrari. So I'm sorry, Marco Seefried, for suggesting the podium was on. It was, trust me.
Nielsen did very well there to gain places. Actually went all 4 wheels off the track twice, but I wonder if she'll be penalised.
Drive-through penalty. Car 8-8, drive-through penalty for exceeding track limits.
Car 8-8, that's Jeffrey Lee. He's 3rd. He won't be 3rd. Drive-through penalty. Jeffrey Ibrahim in 4th. Could be heading for an absolute epic podium. The dust being kicked up in his face. Malaysian does not worry at all. He's having a fabulous race. So drive-through penalty, exceeding track limits. We might actually list the 2 drivers who haven't been pinged for track limits at the end of the race. It could be a shorter list. I joke, but Christina Nielsen, she hasn't really troubled to score us thus far in her career with Craft Bamboo Racing, learning all the Asian circuits, but she went really well yesterday and having a fabulous run today. She is going to be the fly in the ointment for the Prince of Johor, right onto his tail. The 88 car has got to make a pit visit, so Alessio Picariello, well, he'll be sanguine. He did all he could, but Jeffrey Lee in the heat of the battle as Christina Nielsen tries the inside line. Would be like 3 Mercedes abreast. We very nearly got that, but the Dane has moved past the Prince of Johor, so she has got her dander up. And I think with a puncture as well from that collision with the Ferrari, limping in the Anstone Racing car number 17, Jouvai. Right, draw breath. Final 4 and a bit minutes. We know Fuvasak is leading the race, but the gap's come down to 1.2 seconds. Wear on Tan could have an Audi winner in 3rd place, but he's got to serve a penalty, is the 88 Mercedes. So Christina Nielsen effectively in 3rd place. The Ferrari still limping in. That was my favourite, and seeing how things have sorted out, that could have been a 3rd place.
I still think there's a chance, Bruce, that Christina Nielsen will be penalised for exceeding track limits. We'll see. We probably will realise that in the next few moments or so, but she banged off twice onto the grass.
In fairness, though, one of them coming out of turn 2 was just simply to avoid the limping Ferrari. That one is absolutely fine. She wasn't. You don't tend to come out of a corner like that and opt to put your car on the grass for the sheer heck of it. So car 88, car 912, both cars that were in the mix have drive-through penalties for exceeding track limits. Well, rules are rules, and the car starting to make moves is the 999 Audi. Out of the picture completely, but others pick up penalties and stops. Now in the hands of Wei-An Chan. Rahel Ray, Swiss racer, she did the first part of the race, and Wei-An Chan is coming forward at a rate of knots in the multicoloured Audi. But this is our lead battle. Fuji Through Fuvasak, one win to the good this year. And the number 12 Absolute Racing Audi tucked in behind Wei-An Chan, desperate to pick up a top result. They got second place yesterday, but the Absolute Audi crew really deserve a win this year. He and Martin Rupp have been fantastic together, and it looks as though their pro lineup will top of the Pro-Am lineup. This is the Am driver in the 918 car, Vutigon Intrafuvasak, and he's doing an absolutely fabulous job building on the work of Alex Imperatori. The clock may be his friend as the minutes turn into seconds very soon. The Porsche is still in
car
front.
1-3 and 777. Drive-through penalty for overtaking during safety car.
That is quite high up on the list of no-nos for drivers. So car 13, that's Jingsu Sun, that's the other Absolute Racing Audi. But actually, let's just focus as they consider their penalties on the better place of the two Absolute Racing Audis. He's in second place, cracking on the curbs there. But with every corner that the 918 Porsche remains in front, the job is harder and harder for Wei-An Chan. But a brilliant line by Tan, but yet Intrafuvasak is a tough nut to crack. He still leads the race for Panther AAS Motorsport. They had that one win early in the season in the second of the two races, the Chang International Circuit at Buriram in Thailand. Is it going to be a second for the pair?
Can you imagine the pressure for an amateur leading this with just a minute and a half left? Can he hold on, Intrafuvasak?
Well, he's a bronze-ranked driver, and you feel that ranking will be changed very soon indeed. He's driving like a silver, but it's all done on race experience and race results. Wei-An Chan is going to have to just think about where to go, but everywhere he's looked, it's been covered off by the Audi in front. Let's just run down the order. The two cars we have on screen, Intrafuvasak and then Tan. Christina Nielsen, we saw move up into third place. Wei-An Chen in the 999 car is now up into fourth, moving ahead of the 888 car, Jeffrey Ibrahim. Fourth place is his best finish in the season. Fifth place is going to be today. So, as these cars cross the start-finish line, they're starting their final lap. It was under half a second last time around. Looks though it's almost precisely the same gap. Turn one of the critical corners for them, Steve.
Final lap.
0.281 of a second. Christina Nielsen in the background of the shot. But let's look. Got to go up the inside. You've got to grab your opportunity. So the pro driver, does he do enough braking? He's run wide. It's Intrafuvasak. It's a classic case, deep in, slow out, side by side, but the Audi's going to be in the correct position for the next corner because the track bends to the left, but taking the wide sweeping line in through Fuvasak couldn't do the job. Great racing. It's like the first lap of a race, even better when it's on the final lap.
And it's not over yet. We've still got time for this lead to change once more, but it looks now, doesn't it, as if that gap might be just opened up. A class will tell Wei-An Chan in front. Oh, but here we go again.
Tidy driving, just left it out, but Intrafuvasak, he's been fantastic this year. You see them cutting the corners, but really starting to run out of bends. The chicane, well, flashing lights is one thing, but you can see the change of position from Wei-An Chan. You're not coming up the inside, I'm going to the outside. Now I'm going to stay in the middle of the track, you're fine. I'm not leaving the door open, but wonderful racing at the head of the field. Almost daren't look to see who's further behind, but Christina Nielsen now safe in third place. So the number 88 Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes could have won, but at least the sister car 99 is up into third place, and a really good run for the 999 Audi now in fourth place. Jeffrey Ibrahim, Prince of Johor, still holding on. Looks though he should make it to the finish in what will be a very fine fifth place. But now coming through for the final time with an advantage, well, huge, almost a second through to win the race. The Absolute Racing Audi, number 12, first to finish, the pass on the final lap, just worth reiterating. It was tight right the way to the end. AAS Motorsport Porsche in second place. They've got one win in the bag, didn't take a second. In behind Christina Nielsen, just doing enough to hold third place by a very short head from the 999 Audi. Just 2 seconds behind at the finish. What a sort-out. Drive-through penalties affected the running. Incidents affected the running, and I'll have to scroll down to see who won the various classes. So second place Pro-Am winners for Intrafuvasak. At least that is a consolation prize. The Am winner go down to the Vitana Motorsport Lamborghini, got to the front of the class, 12th place overall. So Asaf Ahami brought that home. And GT4, I haven't seen that for a short while, but victory in that class went to Takayuki Kinoshita. But right now, driving off the circuit for some particular reason on the in-lap. The car that finished second overall. Calm down, everyone. There's so much to think about after that race. So wear on tan. There he goes. It's been such a strong season for the crew, but that's the first win for the number 12 Audi. Very well deserved in a race full of incident. Here is the GT4 victory for the car that was second yesterday, the 81 BMW Team Studi. Celebratory flick of the headlights from Takayuki Kinoshita. Really, really good run. What a fantastic race here at Fuji Speedway. So, pause for breath. Various drivers will be picking up further penalties for incidents late in the race, but no penalties at all, one would think, for the car that's come home as the overall winner, car number 12. Wear on tan, finishing the job started in the first part of the race by his teammate Martin Rump. They've knocked on the door, but now their first victory of 2019, and I'm sure we will see huge exultation for them. And with drive-through penalties affecting the race order, as if from nowhere, various cars worked their way towards the front. Not the first two, but the 99 Mercedes, Christina Nielsen, that was moving up in those final laps. Took that third place. 999 took fourth with David Wyan Chen, and Jeffrey Ibrahim, the Prince of Johor, fifth place. He did a really good run. And then almost unnoticed among all of that, the 666 Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Lamborghini completed the top sixth with Alex Au bringing it home. But here comes the winning car into pit lane. All celebration for the Absolute Racing crew. They've pushed hard, they've had incidents, they've had moments, not all of their making, that have led to them not taking a victory so far in this year. But now with 4 rounds complete in the 6-round championship, the first win in the Blancpain GT World Challenge Asia for the Absolute Racing Audi crew, number 12, about to park under the Victor's Arch. When he understands the instructions being passed down to him, he will move into the correct position. And just to reiterate the winners of the classes, second place overall, the 918 Porsche, parking on the right hand side of the screen, alongside the overall winner, so second place and victory in the Prime class for the 918 Porsche. The AM class scroll down the screens, woohoo, down there, Asfahami, the 128 Lamborghini, winning that class. And just to reiterate, winning GT4 was the 81 Team Studi car. But delight, absolute delight from Wear and Tan. All the better because it was a chase to the end of the race and some really fair racing with Vutigon and Fuvasak. First and second in the race with that order changing on the final lap. But fabulous day of sport here. 2 days of great racing, Blancpain GT World Challenge Asia at Fuji Speedway. Our next time out is at Yeongham at the start of August as we go to Korea. But I think many stories to tell, but the biggest smiles of all, I think both those drivers who were duking it out for victory on the final lap will have big, big smiles on their faces.
Oh, I don't see Martin, no.
So just waiting down below the podium as the celebrations, Absolute Racing, absolutely beside themselves, and Audi in particular will be very pleased with that. That win was very, very hard fought indeed. Finally, Wear on Tan reveals a tired face, a happy face, relieved face. Christina Nielsen in the background, she moved up to third place, so their season very much on the up for Danish racer and her teammate Darrell O'Young. But let's go down to a very happy, happy place because Wear on Tan is joined by Steve, and there's his co-driver, Martin Rump, the winning duo.
Yeah, great celebrations here. I got Weron and Martin. Martin, just face this way for us. Weron, first of all, beautifully timed at the end there. You must be delighted.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to thank the team. The team did an amazing job all weekend. We had an excellent pace. Qualifying, thought it could have been a little bit better, but everything just strung up in this race, and the safety car helped us as well. Good drives by the other guys, and Martin did an amazing first stint, and the last couple of laps was quite interesting. Trying to get past the guys. Vuti defended very well, and first win for Audi, so very, very, very proud of that moment.
Great entertainment, wonderful to watch. Give us your thoughts on the first leg.
Yeah, I mean, this weekend has been one for the team, certainly. It's been a long and hard season so far, and this is a good reward for all the hard work that we've been doing. And hats off for Weron. I mean, he did a brilliant final stint, and the crowd was absolutely going nuts in the pits and on the pit wall. Mate, all the moves were brilliant. And yeah, I think yesterday we were strong, and today we were even stronger. So unbelievable. Thank you.
Good Sunday night to come, I think, for these two.
That is one of the best features of GT racing. Great applause from Martin Rump. He's the pro, but you could see when he gave the compliment to his teammate Vutikon Itrafufzat, you could see the smile coming onto Vuti's face. He is making giant strides through the teammates. Sorry, to Wear on Tan, I'm confusing myself. The 918 car had Vutikon who drove beautifully, and the compliment also going to Vuti from Martin Rump. But there are winners. It's a very happy place down there. But let's take a look back at the highlights. All quiet at the start. Well, as quiet as it can be, with 31 cars exploding down the start, finish straight towards turn one. Very, very tidy start by the pole starter, Alessio Picariello. He's in the 88 car, but then a tap from blue on silver, and that was Yasemin Yafar being given a dimension-changing knock from the 17 Yokomizo driven Mercedes, and that's not what he wanted. It put him back into third place. Melvin Moe briefly into second, but back into fourth. But you can see how hard Alessio Picariello was pushing, and a whole host of runners in the group behind. That was at turn 3, running wide over the tarmac, got back onto the racing surface. But this was the moment of frustration for Yasemin Yafar, having been tipped out of second place, nearly out of the race down at the first corner by Naoki Yokomitsu. He was then stuck behind Yokomizo's Mercedes that then, thereafter, was driven very well indeed. Yokomizo eventually picked up a 5-second penalty to be added to his race finishing time for that contact at turn 1. It was of no concern at all for Picariello because he was clear, more than a second clear at the end of the opening lap. And then the story of the opening stages was Yasemin Yafar trying to get onto the tail, trying to make a move on the 17 Mercedes, but the Anstone Racing car just continued to stay there. Stay and stay it did, but all the time Alessio Picariello was escaping in the lead of the field. Further back on, great battle between the Lamborghinis in the AM class. In the early stages, Ben Porter prevailing from the Vitana Motorsport car, but it wasn't to be that way at the end of the race. And the Birth Racing Project GT4 Mercedes, clearly some contact leading to a car that struggled to get back to the pits. Daniel Au then had a couple of moments in the 55 Mercedes and scuppered its chance. This is the second of the BMW Team Studi cars entered for the first time this weekend. That too took bodywork damage, but then in the closing stages of the race, it was the pros making their way forward. The 912 Porsche in the hands of Johan Bo and being chased very hard by Marco Seefried in the Ferrari. But it got super close down into turn 1, diving past the others went. The Ferrari clattered, unfortunately, by Juvaille, putting Christina Nielsen onto the grass. She held that very well and would advance towards the podium, but both of the cars in the clash, in real trouble. Then onto the final lap, last chance really to make a move. Did he do enough braking? Just enough by Wear on Tan. Managed to get into the lead in turn 1, inside Vutikon in through Fuvasak. Then it was side by side. In fact, the Porsche slightly ahead, but he was on the wrong side of the circuit for the next corner. Couldn't produce a sweep around the outside. And again, using experience gain, Wear on Tan just doing a really good job. And he was going to be able to take it home to victory. There was no way for the Porsche driver to fight back, and at the end it was 0.7 of a second. That was all it was between first and second placings. Driver penalties hampered others, but Christina Nielsen came through to take third place in the 99 Mercedes for Craft Bamboo, but it was a very happy place for Wear on Tan, going across to congratulate his rival Vutikon in Fuvasak. So let's get ready for the podium celebrations with your Master of Ceremonies, Steve Dawson.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium ceremony of Race 2, Blancpain GT World Challenge Asia at the famous Fuji Speedway. We start this ceremony by presenting our third place finishers. Ladies and gentlemen, Daryl O'Young and Christina Nielsen. In second place, Vutikon Intrafuvasak and Alessandra Imperatori. And let's hear it for our winners. Ladies and gentlemen, car number 12, Wear on Tan and Martin Rump.
Well, you've heard the cheers as they've been called out onto the podium, and look at the happiness. A lot of content drivers up there. A lot of drivers who've had good form and bad luck through the course of the season, but today you have to line up all your ducks, and it's worked very well indeed. And the Audi pair on the top step, as they point out, first Audi win this year. Patrick Pan of Pirelli out to present the trophies. And you heard certainly from Martin Rump there how much they are applauding Absolute Racing for helping them, give them the car that has had them on the podium before, but now a second place and a first this weekend. This has really put them back into the championship hunt. Second place, Vuitton Fuvasak and Alex Imperatori. In third place, Christina Nielsen and Darrell O'Young for Craft Bamboo Racing.
CEO and founder of SRO.
Stefan Rattel, the man who makes it all happen, the CEO and the founder of the Stefan Rattel organisation, Motorsport Group, and the big checks, the big smiles, the trophies, and just what a happy camp it is up on the podium there. Hard race, so many incidents, and these are the three crews that came out on the top.
Take some photographs, ladies and gentlemen. And now let's get ready for some champagne.
The drivers know what to do, but they've been given their cue, so now the chance to spray the bubbly. And some of these drivers, well, we'll see Vuitton Fuvasak and Alex Imperatori back up again because they are the winners in the Pro-Am class in second place overall. But right now, delight for all of these crews because points are hard to come by in this championship. It's so competitive, and anyone on the podium, yes, they'll have the success penalty, have to serve longer pit stops, but it's about getting the points in the bag. And they've all taken a very, very healthy dose here at Fuji Speedway. Fourth round out of 6. Next time we go racing, it will be at Yongam in Korea. But some happy faces and well done to those three crews. Really fantastic racing.
Let us now move to the GT3 Pro-Am class. Please join me in welcoming to the podium our third place finishers in the 666 car, Alex Au and Frederick Schandorf. Taking the second step on the podium, Jeffrey Ibrahim and Jasman Jafar. And your winners in the 918 car, Vuitton Fuvasak and Alexandra Imperatori.
So again, a happy place to be up on the podium. This is a celebration for the Pro-Am class, the car that finished second overall. The drivers on the top step, Vuitton Fuvasak, and on the right-hand side, Swiss racer Alex Imperatori. And you couldn't get more Malaysian than the pairs on the second step. Delighted, the 888 racing duo of Jeffrey Ibrahim closer to us. He's the Prince of Johor, and alongside Yazam and Jafar. Look at those smiles, quiet satisfaction. And on the right-hand side, the Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Lamborghini crew of Alex Au and Frederick Schandorf. And there is the Sultana, Queen of Johor, with the blue headscarf, looking up suitably, rightfully proud of her son.
Let's have some photographs, ladies and gentlemen.
As is tradition, a Blancpain clock awarded, great-looking device awarding to the winning Pro-Am team. And this weekend it's the Panther AAS Motorsport crew on the top step. Vuitton Fuvasak and Alex Imperatori. Champagne time for them. They've got to do it all over again at the start of August. And I'm sure they're counting down the days already. Cameraman gets a dose, as always, gets a full blast in the camera lens. Eyes sting. Sweat and champagne, a heady concoction, but they will head into the press conference now and tell the assembled crews how it all went. So much incident for them to report, and we may yet have some place changes further down the order because the stewards were having to work very hard indeed. So many drivers being pinged for infringements.
And next up, ladies and gentlemen, we'll move to the GT3 amateur class. Let's welcome to the stage our third place finishers in car number 51. Andrew McPherson and William Ben Porter. In second place, in the 60 car, Kei Nakanishi and Shigakatsu Wakisaka. And your winners in car number 128. Shonsawat Asavame and Akihiro Asai.
Plenty of celebration and applause as the Vitana Motorsport crew, Lamborghini crew, up to the top step. And they've really made quite a splash since joining the championship. Chonsawat Hasavahame and Akihiko Asai. And for Asai, racing on home ground, extra pleasure for winning the AM class. Trophies being presented to the crew on the right-hand side. That's third place in class. Yesterday's AM class winner, that's AMAC Motorsport, Andrew McPherson and Ben Porter. But the crew in second place today, between the Lamborghini crews, the LM Corsa Porsche crew of Kei Nakanishi and Shigekatsu Wakisaka. So lots of faces getting podium time. And you can see quiet satisfaction, fighting their own battles in the overall battle, and really putting on a very, very good show indeed. Their confirmation of the AM class top 3 here at Fuji Speedway. Race 2 done and dusted. Great weekend of racing here at Fuji Speedway. Wonderful circuit.
We open some champagne.
So the spray unleashed, the podium ceremony running towards its conclusion. Still the GT4 class podium to come. And I think we've got a special treat for a competition winner to come out with that as well. And you could say normal service has been resumed in the GT4 class because BMW Team Studio have been doing the bulk of the winning. 3 times they've been beaten, but 4 times they've won across the first 7 races, and they've made a change to that. They've reversed that form and they are now winners all over again. Visibility getting better and better here at the Fuji Speedway. Maybe Mount Fuji will be rearing its head out of the clouds. It's a rare treat, but has been seen, but not yet today. But it must be said, the strong wind blew up, but it didn't spoil anybody's plans here today. The rain stayed away.
Finishing in second position, 199. Kyo Chang and Zhou Qi. And taking the top step, driving the number 81 car, ladies and gentlemen, Takayuki Kinoshita and Tsunako Jukuchu.
Well, here's our GT4 podium, and they're such showmen, the BMW Team Studio crews, and you can see they're used to winning, but everyone counts just as much for BMW Team Studio. So Takayuki Kinoshita, Tsunaka Jukuchu up onto the top step. Second step.
Present the trophies.
Well, here's something new. The person who won the AMG Hot Lap competition we saw at the start of the show. This is the one who was in the back seat, I'm just being told. That's Shunpei Suzuka. He didn't get the front seat, he got the back seat, but he presents the trophies. Now, let's see if he's learnt the lesson not to stay on the wrong side of the podium and get sprayed by champagne. But it would be an honour. Now, we're looking at the team. 2 team crews from Team iRace.win, the Mercedes crew. In second place in the class, the 199 car of Keo Chang and Zhou Qi on his championship debut. He's enjoying it very, very much indeed. And the 111 crew finishing in third place, Ringo Chong and Setyawan Santoso. You may not be able to see them. Oh, yes, you can. They're glowing in those bright overalls on the right-hand side of the podium. So checks 2, presented by the man who makes it all happen, Stefan Rattel. And look at the big smiles and the cheering and the shouting from Jukuchu and Kinoshita. They're borrowing everybody's checks. They're at a high time here on home ground in Japan. Time for the champagne to be sprayed, and I'm sure they'll spray it with extra gusto up on the steps there. The GT4 runners always enjoy their racing and the celebrations, and BMW Team Studio, they do such a good job of it. Joy clear for all to see. One more thing for them to do. It's the champagne! So the cameraman on the left of the screen will be getting a fateful, I'm sure. But that is it. That's the end of the podium ceremonies here at Fuji Speedway. Weekend of action, fabulous fun, great racing, and some tip-top results. We've enjoyed all of it. And now let's prepare to run through the overall results and take you through who ended up on top. It was Wear on Tan and Martin Rump winning, as you can see, just over a second clear, overtaking on the final lap. Vutagon Intra Fuvasak couldn't hold them off, but he and Imperatori won the Pro-Am class in second place overall. Daryl Young and Christina Nielsen, their second podium of the year, but a real upswing in form. They started well, had a dip in form, and now they're right back. And Wei Chan and Rahel Frey, good run into fourth place. This is a debut for Rahel Frey, really good Swiss racer, making quite a splash. And second place in Pro-Am class, fifth place overall. Great run from Jeffrey Ibrahim, His Royal Highness Prince of Johor, and Jasmine Jafar. And Vincenzo Sospiri Racing, always there or thereabouts. Sixth place for Alex Au and Frederick Schandorf. AM-Class winner, Vitana Motorsport, in 11th place overall, just a few seconds clear of the LM Corsa Porsche crew. So enjoying very, very good form here at here at the Fuji Speedway. Quite a lot of drivers picked up penalties, some picked up bodywork damage, including the number 27 Ferrari. Marco Seefried could have been on the podium. He was given a bit of a bash and he ended up out of the race. So what ifs and buts? But right now, those championship results have changed the race order, have changed the championship points table fairly enormously. But that's it from us at Fuji Speedway. It's been fantastic fun. Cannot wait to do it all over again. That's it from me, Bruce Jones. My voice has just held out. Join us next time.